Hello, hello. Hope you enjoy my new OA screen, by the way. So this game, this game is very special to me. It's probably one of the few furry visual novels that I actively followed. That I read. Wait, did I? My God, me gaslighting myself goes at hard. Okay, yeah, I did unmuted myself. Okay, good. My God. So this game is quite special to me. It's one of the very few furry VNs that I follow. It's quite special for me. I think I followed this game not necessarily like when it was freshly new, but please don't. Please don't. I don't think I followed this game ever since it was very, very freshly new, but I think I followed this game very close to it. I think I followed this game when, like, the farthest day was day, like, 7 or so. So, I was following this game for a long time, and it always intrigued me. So, of course, saying that, I'm not going to do a blind playthrough. I've pretty much played through half of the game. So for half of the playthrough, I will know what to expect. But after a certain point, I will get to blind territories. I even made a little text file with all my notes and discoveries through the game because it's a mystery, murder mystery novel. I will not share information until some information has been revealed and yada yada. There's multiple routes. I might do all the routes, but I might have to skip on one because there's one singular route where there is a not safe for scene. I could try to play through it on my own time and see where that scene happens and just skip it for streaming, or just not doing the route altogether, but I'm gonna see when that happens. So, without any further ado, let's go into password. So yeah, needless to say, this is a murder mystery novel, so yeah, there's gonna be deaths, basically. Oh, yeah, there's one thing about like the multiple playthrough. If you want to play this game, make sure that you save the game when you're giving the opportunity to make an important decision, because there is different paths and there's routes. The routes is basically like your traditional VN route. Okay, like you can choose a character to hang with, and that's gonna be your route. But there's also paths. So yeah, the game is currently in, I think, in beta or alpha state. There might be some missing sprites near the end, but from what I'm aware, the entire story is written. So even though there will be maybe some missing like CGs, at the very least, the entire story of the game is fully being developed. So, anyways, I've been dragging this intro for way too long, so let's just dive in, and also prepare for me to like read badly from time to time. The streets around my house were empty, likely a case because of how early it was. Normally, I'd still be in bed for the next few hours, get up, get myself some coffee, and move on to doing whatever it was I needed to do that day. School ended yesterday, and rather than enjoy the fact that I didn't need to get up for classes, I was making my way towards the bus stop where I was to meet my friends. And why were they up and why were they up early as well? One of us, by some miracle or perhaps a stroke of good luck, managed to get an all expenses paid vacation at a mansion up in the mountains for a month. What a better way to celebrate than have a taste of the high life before moving on to college? That part I had kind of forgotten. Like I forgotten that they are just like done with high school. So yeah, even though I'm not blind throughout half of the story, I'm still like I have forgotten like most of the details. I still remember some stuff, but not everything. So yeah. I sat my bag down at the bus stop, checking the road. It was as dead as when I left the house, with no sign of the private bus that was meant to pick us up. Groaning, I rubbed my eyes. Tiredness wouldn't have been an issue if I'd had the time to have some coffee, but excitement kept me from thinking rationally. I wonder how long it'd take for the others to arrive. If only because once someone else was here, I could afford to zone out until I could take a nap on the bus. Oh dear, you look conscious. When I turned my face, when I turned to my god, I already start speaking badly. When I turned to face the voice I was greeted with, Roswell's smile, along with the familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee coming from the two cups on the tray he held out. I assumed you might need a kickstart this morning. Here, you know which one is yours. Rubbing my eyes again, I nodded, reaching out for the coffee on the left. Not that I really knew which one was mine, but I had a 50-50 shot at getting it right. Failing that, I could always look at the name written on the cup. Turning it over in my hand, I looked at what the cup said. So, there is a little Easter egg in this, for here. You meant to just type the protagonist name, which is basically Dave. But there's like one little Easter egg that if you type another character's name, and especially one in particular, he's gonna react in a weird way. If you type Tyson, something happens. My eyes bulged when I saw the name written on the cup, stealing a glance at Roswell, slightly panicked. Is everything alright? Everything's fine. My voice broke slightly higher as I tried to quickly cover what I'd seen. Just hotter than normal is all. I quickly took a sip, hoping that if by some miracle that this was for Tyson, that I'd be his regular order. Not something I'd normally get, but close enough. And you're sure everything is fine? Totally fine. I'm just thankful you brought me a coffee is all. I didn't think anywhere would be open this early. I know some places. Don't worry about it. All that matters is you have your awake juice. Together we sighed out as we drank our coffee. The street was just as quiet as it was when we arrived. We arrived even with the added company. Oh, by the way, is the audio good? Like, can you hear me fine? Am I not too loud? Is the game not can you hear the game? Just because I feel like I'm loud, so that's why I want to confirm. Before long, I noticed Roswell watching me curiously, much in the same way he'd watch for something to happen. Roswell, why are you staring? Aren't excited? What, for this vacation? Of course, the vacation. I thought you'd be, I don't know, more energetic. Well, I guess maybe a little. I laughed. The classic hyena trait that shone through when when I'd been caught off guard. So yeah, the protagonist is a hyena. Actually, I think you could have seen from the title screen. But maybe wait until the coffee has had a chance to wake me up. Raswell rolled his eyes, rummaging around in his pockets for something before quickly shoving whatever it was in his mouth. Roswell's wants to double check things like this with me and bleh. Roswell wants to double check things like this with me went back to when we were kids. Whether it was a habit or not, I don't know. There were times I'd do the same, but it was mostly for homework and such, even if that was only a couple of years ago. Before that, he'd been away, having moved far enough that we couldn't hang out like we used to. But hanging out as kids was easy when you were literal neighbors. You know, this'll be a good sort of send-off, I suppose. That's what I thought. As I was replying, I watched as Roswell shoveled more of whatever was in his pocket into his mouth, losing where I was taking my thoughts. What are you eating? Breakfast? Breakfast. Show me. You're not eating candy for breakfast, are you? Hey, they're just fruit gummies. Fruit is for breakfast, ergo, this is fine. But the sugar. Whatever point he was making was punctuated by him shaking his coffee cup. I knew he had a sweet tooth, but I wondered what a dentist would think. Oi. Ah, there he is, my boy. Orlando is my favorite character, by the way, so, yeah. Roswell and I looked over to where the voice had came from, watching as an energetic dragon bounded toward us. My boy. I love him. Good morning, friends. Orlando bounced on the spot, dropping his backpack next to mine and throwing an arm over our shoulders. Morning, Orlando. I shot a dragon a look, his bulk having nearly made me spill my coffee. Getting the hint, he'd backed down, stretching out his arms. Early mornings like this are a great start for adventures, don't you think? Only if there's coffee involved. Some of us can just be as functional in the morning without it, you know, Dave? Turning away before I could get a reply in, Orlando called down the street to the crocodile slowly lumbering in his way over to us. Sal, hurry up already. Already. Well, for some people, honestly, I can kind of relate to Orlando. I've never been a coffee guy, so, yeah. Also, welcome to the stream, kid, Dankster. Sitting his back down too, Sal gave each of us a small wave. Good morning. You look as awake as Dave does, Sal. Leave me alone. I'm tired. But answer me this, Sal. Are you at least excited for the mention? At the very mention of the word, Orlando let out an excited cheer that was perhaps a little too loud for how early it was. Mention! He's just cheery. I like him. Orlando, less loud, please. He stopped, shooting Sal a sour look. Well, excuse me for having looked forward to this for a while. No classes. Mention. How often do you get to have in Montauk? All expenses paid vacation in the life of luxury? It looked like Saul went to say something, but shook his head, looking off down the road to check for the bus. So what? You too excited? So what? Too excited for the trip and too not? So it's a tie so far? Maybe. Dean's here though. He is? And Dean's route is probably the only route that I'm not gonna be able to do because it's his route that has the one not safe for work scene. So yeah. Hey, hey. Dean threw his arm over my shoulder and smiled at everyone in turn. My alarm didn't go off. Well, it did, but not loud again. Not loud enough, I guess. Must have hit snooze one too many times. Don't worry, I assumed that might happen, which is why we're meeting now. So, you're not late. Dean sighed out, rubbing his face with his free hand. Aside from tired, how are you? Are you excited for this mention? What mention? What do you mean, what mention? Where did you think we were going today? To be honest, I heard that everyone was heading somewhere exciting for a vacation, and I was just happy to be invited. Plus, he kneaded my shoulders, eyeing up the coffee in my hand. Knowing who else was invited too helped me sway me. Knowing who else was invited too helped sway me. I rolled my eyes, a slight smile forming from on my face. Dean and I were friends, not with benefits or anything more like than that, but he for sure was trying to woo me. He was old-fashioned like that apparently, and wanted a proper date before calling anything official. Until then, he made it clear that he was interested in pursuing something despite me being free to do what I want. Saul and I didn't know as well as Orlando knew him. After meeting, we'd hung up a few times, but he and Orlando were mostly off doing things. Most times I saw Saul, it was time. Wait, what? Most times I saw Saul, it was times like. That is a weird sentence. When we were all together as a group. Roswell and Orlando were school friends, with Orlando being who I hung out with a lot while Roswell was away. They got on as fast friends when Roswell entered the picture, but part of that was because Orlando was the high school president of the anime club. I've forgotten about that. I knew that Orlando was a gamer, but I've forgotten that he's an otaku as well. Huh. Okay, that part I've forgotten. I knew that Orlando is a gamer, you'll see later, but that part I've forgotten. Speaking of, there was another member of the anime club who was coming today, and that'd be the most boring character. I'm sorry, but I don't like that character. Sorry. It's the only character that I don't like in this game, because he's kind of just boring. Sorry. Oh, Huss, you made it! As he approached, Huss took off his sunglasses and hooked them in his pocket, balancing a tray of coffee cups in his free hand. Oh, Huss, you seem to have a fair bit of coffee there. Yep, one of these is for you, big guy. Dean's eyes lit up, shuffling around me to get his coffee and downing a good amount of it before sighing out content. You are a lifesaver. I brought another one for Dave, but it seems like he already has one. Oh no, I'll drink that one too. Gimme. Oh no. Gremlin. Here, take it. Haas handed it out to me, and I swiped it eagerly, sighing out as I used the heat to warm my hands. Hey Dave, given I'm already halfway through mine, interested in sharing that extra one you have? I felt my eyes narrow. It's time like this that I dislike that Dean took his coffee the same as me, but my look was enough to dissuade Dean from asking again. So, Huss, how things? Sleep well? Of course. As if demonstrating his point, he ran a hand through his mane, adjusting how it was sitting. Always have to get my beauty rest in. Can't afford to having crow's feet at my age. Not to mention, if you're going to have a mane, better have it well groomed. Haas had always been one to have aspiration for the big screen, or maybe he was just very conscious of his appearance. Not that it was a bad thing. Occasionally, he'd be wearing the latest clothes or smelling really nice, but always well groomed. I admired him for that sometimes. So, how about this mention, Haas? What about it? You don't look too excited. Maybe he just needs some more coffee in his system, like Dave does. What about you, Haas? At the moment, we're at a tie. Well, not every day you get to experience something new. And this sort of thing isn't really something that you can just up and go for a day, right? Not that I'm going in blind, but you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. What? What is that expression? Gift horse? Thank you, Dave. What the frick is that expression? It was at that point that the sound of the bus approaching called our attention to it pulling up alongside the bus stops that we'd arranged for it to pick us up at. My god, I'm struggling already. It's not gonna go well if I'm struggling already. Maybe I'll explain later. Either way, let's get to it, right? It's not everyone. There is one person missing. So it's time. Really, it's time? Orlando looked like he was ready to burst with how he was jumping up and down. He's just excited. Jeez, you're going to wear me out just looking at you, Orlando. Calm down. Well, technically no. But you'll see very shortly. It's not that they don't remember them, it's more like they haven't invited him. But while Orlando and Dean chatted about something, I zoned out, opting instead to look down the road. There was one last person I was waiting on. Yep, that. Someone who I'd personally invited that hadn't shown up yet. Oh, that's okay, that is new. I don't remember this sprite. That is new. Also, I'm just gonna save real fast. How many save points do I have? Okay, yeah, it seems like I have a lot. I might like use one page for each character. I'll see. As I turned around, there was a polar bear standing there with a clipboard, looking as if he'd had a little sleep. He adjusted the cap on his head while he looked over the list before looking to Roswell. Well, not really infinite pages, I only have like 9. Yeah, I only have 9 pages, so... I'm picking a bunch of people to head up into the mountains. Have I got the right group? No, there's no arrow on the last page. That should be us? The driver nodded, crossing something off his clipboard before looking over each of us, counting. Someone missing? Missing? I don't... Wait. Yeah, they're just running late is all. Won't be too much longer. Alright, well, hop on then. Roswell looked to me, confused. Who are we missing? Everyone's here. Sal, Haas, Roswell, Bus, mention. He's just too excited. Sal rolled his eyes, retrieving his bag and at the same time Orlando's before getting onto the bus. Right, that plus 1 I said, wait, what? Alright, that plus 1 I said you could bring. Now I get it. Roswell turned to Orlando soon after, and I got the impression that Roswell has prioritized what he was about to do over questioning who we were waiting on. My god, why am I still struggling to speak? Say, Orlando, who do you think I managed to get the mention for a month anyway? Uh-oh. I don't know. Ah, well, then, let's just say it's family connections. This seems a little more, this is seeming more like a thing you'd sell our souls for. How readily available are mentions anyway? Orlando's scales paled slightly. His excitement shot. I didn't think Roswell's family had that much sway, but I was open to this just to being a lucky break. Souls? Well... Orlando hurriedly reached out for Roswell, who stepped back out of reach, throwing his hand up as he backed over to his bag. Tell me you didn't, Roswell? Again, he reached out for Roswell, who ducked under Orlando, using his smaller frame to his advantage. Just remember to pay Charon the toll for crossing the river when you get onto the bus, Orlando. He's a little gremlin. Roswell is a gremlin. Roswell giggled, jumping onto the bus and out of reach. Well, whatever the reason, I'm happy. It'll be nice to have an early taste of the good life. Haas joined Roswell soon after, with Orlando still having a miniature panic attack on the sidewalk. He'd always been wary of the supernatural, which, given Roswell's interests in it, occasionally brought responses like this. That name badge the driven were, said Liam, right? Not Charon? I wasn't paying attention. Oh god, I'm going to die, aren't I? With slumped shoulders, Orlando waddled onto the bus, leaving myself and Dean on the sidewalk. So... Dean had finished his coffee and flicked it into the trash can nearby. When he turned back to me, he placed both hands heavily on my shoulders, making my knees buckle if only a little bit. So a month alone? I chuckled again, this time nervous. My cheeks were warming up, and if it wasn't for my fur, I'd probably been beet red. Dean's particular brand of flirtation was either sappy or just forward, sometimes coming across as just tactless. But still, I liked it. I just wish I had the confidence to return it in kind. What is he doing here? There he is. Oh. The wolf approached nonchalantly despite having almost missed the bus. Maybe it was because he was sure I wouldn't leave without him. In unison, I looked at the window of the bus to the others who were giving my +1 the evil eye. Not that I blamed them knowing what sort of reputation Tyson had. Hey. I looked back to Ty, who was sizing me up before stealing a look at Dean. By comparison, Dean looked much like the others on the bus. Just in time, yeah. Dean was grumbling, grabbing his hands and getting onto the bus. As bad as it was, I knew he'd be fine eventually, and kept my attention on Tyson, given no one else had lingered to say hello. Oh yeah, just in time. You didn't tell anyone I was coming, did you? I laughed again, and Tyson knew better than any of the others when I'd been caught out with how long he'd been around. Not as long as Roswell, but longer than Orlando. You're a fucking brat, but no avoiding it now. But hey, you're here, so that's good, right? Ty shrugged, looking around for a bit, as if he didn't want to look at me directly. Yeah, well, don't think I'll be making any new friends this month. Hey, you never know. Prefer if I didn't, to be honest. Easier that way. Still, thanks for the invite. Of course, Ty. Couldn't not invite you after all. I followed Tide onto the bus, sticking behind him as he shoved his way down towards the back. The bus and I dumped my bags in an empty seat, taking note of where everyone was. Ty was at the back by himself. Roswell and Orlando were sitting close together, as were Dean and Saul, although the pair of them looking to settle in for a nap, and Huss was pulling out a magazine. Oh, welcome to the stream, by the way. Fun fact, this VN is probably one of the few furry VNs that I actively followed, and I'll be blind for half of the game, but for the first half of the game, I'm not gonna be blind. Also, thanks for the follow. So yeah, I needless to say, I was really eager to stream this game. It's been on my mind for a long time. Leaving Ty to stretch out over the back seat, I wandered over to Orlando and Roswell, who seemed to be having some sort of continuation from their discussion outside. Oh, okay, cool. I would say, like, aside from this VN, there's only one other that I'm also interested in. The others I'm just like kind of eh. The other VN that I do follow is Killigan's Treasure, because I find it quite sweet sort of game, and I'm interested to see where it's gonna go. But yeah, Password and Killigan's Treasure is probably the only VNs that I am most interested in. No, but really, what did it cost us? Oh, you know, only our souls. Orlando let out a wail, clutching his head. You know he's not serious, right? How do you know, Dave? Roswell gestured at me with a piece of lead licorice, a smug grin on his face. He knew how to push buttons, especially Orlando's. Oh, and sorry. Well, wouldn't. I mean, our souls aren't worth that much, are they? Hey now, you can't just go saying that. You're worth plenty. Yeah, your soul alone could pay for this whole trip. I laughed, nervous before setting into a wry smile. Jeez. There you go. Now you can have your soul back, Orlando. Orlando and Roswell looked towards one another before looking back at me. So, you do know the other reason I put this together, right? What reason? Ever since the incident, you've been sort of distant, muted maybe. Like, I don't know. You don't seem to like the cheerful hyena you were before it happened. Oh, I guess I haven't, huh? Once again, they looked at one another, almost as if wanting the other to say something first. We just miss the old you is all. I'm fine, really. Just, well, you know how it is. Are you sure? Positive. Then, I guess that's all there is to it. This'll be the best vacation ever, promise. Oh, how innocent they are. How innocent they are. Oh dear. The best vacation ever? I sure hoped so. With the high school over for Huss, Roswell, Orlando, and I, this was going to be the last time we could freely hang out together as a group. Sure, there was every chance we'd be able to see each other every now and then. Each other every now and again. Wait, every now and again? Isn't it supposed to be like every now and then? Whatever. But nothing like this. I looked to the others on the bus, a slight smile forming. These were my friends, and I was happy they were here. I stifled a yawn, wondering if I should get a nap in now or hold it off a bit. We were going to be on road for a while, so I could spend some time checking in with some other people, or just get the nap in now before we arrived. Alright, this is not where you're going. This is not where you choose your route. That's gonna be later. Wait, I cannot even talk to. I cannot even talk to Orlando? Really? I'm gonna talk to Ty because, honestly, Tyson is probably my second favorite character. Yes, I know, it's surprising it's not Sal. I do like Sal, but I like Ty as well. I glanced back at the others as I made my way down to the back of the bus. As I drew closer, I noticed Ty watching me closely. The gentle swish of his tail giving me a clue on his mood. Hey. Hey, Ty. I sat down next to Ty, who, rather than lifting his leg up to make room, just spread himself out further once I was settled. What's up? Nothing, just checking in. How's the bus going? Going fine. Although bullshit that you weren't checking in on me because you were worried. Maybe a little. I'll be fine, pup. You're not getting any ideas about doing anything back here, are you? What do you... My eyes dipped down to his lap where he was making a lewd gesture with his hands. All it took was a moment for me to bring my gaze back up to realize I'd been busted. As I shrank into my shoulders, embarrassed, Tyson roared with laughter. I'm out of your league, pup. As almost immediately I retorted, jaw clenched. Am not. Oh yeah? You're convincing to me, Dave? Despite my groan, he snickered to himself. Ty knew how to push my buttons well, and some of that was from when he was the local bully. Things were different between us now, but the others not so much. Still, he was as much as a friend now as any of the others, and even though he was razzing me the same way I'd expect Dean to, I managed to crack a smile of my own. You wish I was confessing. Ty rolled his eyes and settled in, stretched out further and taking up more space so I was half pushed out of the seat. So a month, yeah? This trip? Yeah, 1 month. Huh. Ty's gaze dipped for a moment before looking back at me. His expression's something I couldn't quite place. What's up? Nothing, just thinking. You? Thinking? Rather than give me any sort of proper reply, he placed a foot against my cheek and pushed me further off the seat. Okay, sorry. Just a lot going on is all. Don't worry about it. If you say so. I guess I'll get you back to it. I'm currently doing it. You should go take a nap though, pup. You look wrecked. Yeah, eventually. I'll talk to you later, Ty. See ya. So yeah, Tyson is actually the bully, but I still do like him for some reasons. You'll see much later on. I slid the rest of the way off the seat and wondered if I should take that nap now or if there was anything else left to do before I did. Oh, okay, so I can talk to everyone. Okay. Might as well. I wandered toward the front of this bus where Saul seemed to be staring out to the window. Hey, Saul. He didn't answer at first. His eyes glazed over as the world went by on the other side of the window. What? He sounded tired, and when he turned to me just enough that he could look at me, I snuck a glance at Orlando, who was still being tormented by Roswell, before looking back to Saul, confident that I wasn't being nearly as much of a pain. Just checking in. Everything alright? Yeah, everything's fine. So, you're tired too, huh? Aren't you normally up this early? I am, but Orlando is a lot to deal with when he's excited. Did you have coffee? No coffee at Orlando's place. I figured I'd be fine with tea, but... He shook his head, leaving his comment there. Sal was usually one of few words, but for the most part he was easy to talk to. Granted, he didn't always say something back, but he was a good listener. So, are you as excited as Orlando, or? He shrugged. Even if there's a pool and a gym there? A pool? The faintest of smiles crept onto his face, and his gaze went to the window for a moment before returning to look at me. Maybe I'm a little excited. Saul didn't seem up for a conversation, with how he yawned soon after and went back to looking out to the window. As for me, I was back to figuring out what to do. Honestly, I kind of relate to him. Like on long rides, I tend to just look out the window and stare at the horizon. I mean, it's kind of like relaxing in a way. Huss is next. I wander over to where Huss was sitting, leaning over the chair behind him to see what he was reading. What are you reading, Huss? Oh, just a magazine I picked up from the convenience store. He thumbed the pages he'd yet to get to before flashing me a quick smile. Didn't think I'd run into this issue there, but they had it, so I bought it. Don't tell me you didn't bring anything to do on the bus while we drove there. Oh no, I was just curious is all. I half expected it to be some manga or something. I am shocked and offended, Dave. Me? Manga? Never. We both laugh, knowing full well that the person most enthusiastic about the anime club was Huss. Somehow he managed to balance being a rabid anime fan and an aspiring big screen superstar just fine though. But really though, a magazine? Sure, why not? I give him a look, baffled by what he would find interesting about a gossip magazine. Okay, fine. It's useful to stay up on date on these sort of things. Trust me on this. Outside of that though, it's just for fun. I watched as he flicked to the back, showing me the last few pages. Maybe. Probably. Puzzles, crosswords, a quiz. If you want your horoscope, I could read that too. If you're that hard-pressed for entertainment, I could give it to you when I'm done. Maybe. I dunno. Doing a crossword sounds like fun. Are you actually going to fill it out with words relating to the clues this time? Hey, you never know. He smirked before gesturing to the back of the bus behind me. Before I forget, what's the deal with him? With Ty? Yeah, Orlando and Roswell didn't seem too happy when he showed up. Yet, let alone Dean. He's a friend. A friend, huh? So long as he doesn't go making any trouble, we should be fine. I've heard things. Oh yeah, you only moved there at the start of the year, huh? Moved here sooner, but started school at the start of the year, yeah. Still, guy carries a reputation. He's fine, promise. Well, mostly anyway. We'll see then. If you reckon he's alright, I'll give him a chance. But he's only getting one, alright? That's all I ask. He's really not that bad. Huss snuck another look at Tyson before going back to his magazine. Guess we'll just have to see, Dave. I'll let you get back to your magazine. With how you were clutching your coffee, I'd say you needed that cat nap, huh? I give Huss a smile before turning away, wondering if I should take that cap nap or not. There's one character left to talk to. I wandered over to near the front of the bus where Dean was stretching out still, getting comfortable in the seat. Oh, Dave, what's up? Oh, nothing really. I just thought that I'd check in. Things are fine here. How about you? Well, I glanced back at Tyson at the back of the bus before looking back to Dean. What's wrong? Just, no, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't be silly, Dave. Sit down for a bit. I nodded slowly, sitting next to Dean and finding him a comforting hand on my knee. What's bothering you? Nervous about this vacation? Think something's going to happen? I laughed nervously, giving myself away. The idea of Dean and I at a house, basically living together for a month, gave me a whole slew of feelings I didn't know how to process. He could be lusty and raunchy at times, and part of me liked it, but as someone with near zero experience in anything like that, I had concerns. Well, something could happen, right? Well, don't worry. If it does, we'll go slow. Alright. Unless you were thinking of something, wait, what? Unless you were thinking of something now to pass the time on the bus? I laughed again, looking around quickly at where the others are on the bus. What was Dean suggesting? We had privacy enough given the seating, but before I had time to explain, Dean removed his hand from my knee and yawned. Speaking of, I was just planning on getting some sleep in before we arrived. You look like you could do the same. I had coffee. I'll be fine. No sooner than the words have left my mouth that I yawned, mimicking Dean's stretch from before. Fine, are you? Well, so maybe I could benefit from a nap. My god. Speaking. Okay, so maybe I could benefit from a nap too. Offer is still there if you wanted to cuddle up for the trip. Or, anything else for that matter. Dean. We both laugh, quiet chuckles as to not bother any of the others. That said, if I cuddled up to Dean now, I'm sure Orlando would have a bunch of things to say with how he's gone on about us making a potentially cute couple in the past. So, aside from a nap, how are you feeling? Fine. What about you? I watched as Dean looked over his chair towards Tyson at the back of the bus. Also fine. You don't sound it, plus, outside. Oh, it'll be fine. If you invited him, then I'm just going to have to suck it up. Right, and speaking of suck, please. Yeah, he's the horny character. Oh my god, please. Dean wriggled his eyebrows at me, playing up to his lewd joke to make me laugh. It was whiplash, but he was looking at diffusing the tension rather than letting the conversation linger on Tyson's presence. Well, if you're sure things are fine, I'll let you get back to getting ready for a nap, and I'll do something. With a wink, Dean gave my leg another pat before keeping his hands to himself. Well, alright. I guess I'll speak to you later. With a nod, I got up from the spot next to Dean and wondered if I should take his lead and taking a nap or do something else before settling up. Okay. Now we proceed. I returned to my seat and double-checked everything was neatly in my bag before lounging back and closing my eyes with a sigh. Dave, are you sleeping? 'Cause if you're not, I wanted to ask you something. I opened my eyes, tired but giving Roswell a quick smile. He was leaning over the chair in front of me, chin resting on his folded arms. What's up, Roswell? I just wanted to know if you were planning on documenting this vacation at all. Like, did you bring a camera or something? What, like my phone? Fishing it out of my pocket, I flashed it at Roswell. I guess that works. Oh, actually, there was something I brought along. Let me pull it out. I rummaged in my backpack and pulled out a small notebook, rubbing my fingers around the covers. I have this. I figured that if this is going to be the last time we get to hang out, maybe it'd be neat to have like a little journal. Maybe I can scrapbook some parts of it too. Roswell let his arms drape over the back of the chair, eyes flickering down to the notebook in my hands. How are you going to scrapbook things without a Polaroid camera, Dave? I can draw, or print them from my phone when I get back home. Well, I think that's a good idea. I have my own notebook, so I might make a journal of my own. Maybe then we can, I don't know, compare and make copies for everyone else? Yeah, let's do that. Alright, let's sort it out later. For now, I'm guessing you're going to try to sleep again? Probably. I'm still beat. Well, alright. If you wake up at some point and want to chill, Orlando and I will still be watching stuff near the front, or maybe playing cards or something. Sleep well. Roswell popped back down and wandered up the length of the bus back to over to Orlando before sitting down. As for me, I put the journal and my phone away, resting back and closing my eyes once more. The gentle rolling of the bus and the low drone of the engine was enough to lull me asleep, given how tired I still was even after 2 cups of coffee. I must have slept the whole way to the mansion, as when I was coming to, I could smell a familiar scent of honey near my nose. Not only that, but the feeling of warm air made me open my eyes carefully, only to come face to face with Dean. Whoa, Dean! My hands quickly found their way to his body. I'm never good at pronouncing this word. One haphazardly, or my god, that is a weird. This word on his chest and the other half on his face in a panic. He just chuckled, letting himself get pushed back. With his size, there was no way I was going to legitimately move him if he put any sort of resistance. Good morning to you. Good morning to you too. You were sleeping so soundly, I figured that you might need someone to wake you up. Haphazardly. Yeah. Yeah. Still, words are hard sometimes. You couldn't just shake me gently, or what, and not kiss Sleeping Beauty? Wait, you didn't actually kiss me and I slept through it, right? Well, I could always kiss you just in case. I felt my cheeks go red and I laughed, stopping only when Dean recoiled from something hitting him square on the forehead. I looked back at Ty, who seems to be rolling his eyes shut, but he was very clearly the one who could have been. Was very clearly the only one who could have thrown whatever it was that had hit Dean. Well, we're pulling up now. Basically, there already. The driveway was long enough as it was. Yeah, Dean's gotta behave. Even though he's the love interest character, but you can still date any other character, weirdly enough. Without another word, Dean went back to his chair, scratching his head and stopping by Saul to say something. I couldn't make it out what it was, so I double-checked and I had everything in preparation for us getting off the bus. Occasionally, I'd look out the window, watching the trees go by as we made our way up the driveway, or what was left of it before they parted proper for the last stretch leading up to the mansion itself. As we gathered all of our bags, we filed off the bus with Ty pulling the rear, following me closely. My God. Speak clearly, please. My God. My bad. Before us stood a mansion some three stories tall. This was where we were staying and effectively our home for the month. A smile formed on my face as the excitement started to settle in now that I could see it, with Tyson whistling in awe next to me echoing how I was feeling. Roswell and Orlando led the charge, excitedly heading towards the front door to the mansion with their bags in tow. This place is amazing. Look how big it is. Right? This is gonna be great. They hurried on ahead, leaving the rest of us to come to our senses. Big house. Yeah. Very simple. I was half expecting him to come out with some lewd joke with the setup Saul had given him. When it didn't come, I came to the assumption that he was just as floored as the rest of us to just how big the place was. Huss stepped forward, stretching. Big as this is, I don't see myself living in a palace like this. I'd rather something more modern. Ty shifted the weight of his bag, muttering something under his breath, barely loud enough for me to hear. Makes you feel like a fucking king, I reckon. Not for me though. Good thing it isn't forever then, Ty. Huss wandered over to the others with Ty lingering close by, waiting for me. The driver stepped off the bus, making sure we'd all disembarked before tipping their cap. I see everyone's got everything, so I'll be heading off. I'll be back in a month. Enjoy your trip. With only a wave, the driver got back on the bus and drove away. I watched as the bus disappeared among the trees, wondering if I'd be happy or sad to see the bus come back when the trip was over. I think you'll be happy. Ha ha ha, knowing what's gonna happen. I must have zoned out as soon enough Ty had an arm over my shoulder and started guiding me to the front door to where the others were waiting. Alright, we're here everyone. Roswell reached out and hit the doorbell before turning back to us. This is going to be great! There's a pool outside and a gym downstairs. And in the forest, I think there's a river where so we can go fishing, maybe? As Roswell continued on about how much fun we were going to have, the rest of us turned to the sharply dressed butlers that had opened the door to greet us. Master Roswell, I presume? Roswell spun on the spot, startled at a new voice addressing him. Yeah, that's me. Very good. If you all follow me inside, we can get you settled in. Throwing on his heel, the otter wandered inside, leaving the rest of us to look at one another. Before looking to Roswell. Should we? May as well, yeah? We filed into the foyer of the mansion, the tiles underneath seemingly freshly cleaned from how glossy they looked. Gentlemen, I welcome you to the Hammond Manor. The butler gestured towards the stairs leading up before he continued. Bedrooms are up on the first floor, with further facilities on the floor above that. Don't need to tell me twice. I don't need a tour. All eyes were on Tyson as he said it, although the butler seemed to give him a quick once-over before addressing the rest of us again. You have the freedom to roam as you please within the mansion, so long as no damage comes of you doing so. Really? We can go anywhere? You may, although there are some rooms that you will find that you cannot access. Well, sure, but... Orlando trailed off, but my curiosity pushed me forward to finish asking the question. What kind of rooms are off limits? The otter stroked his mustache, seemingly thinking it over before looking at and talking to me directly. Mostly those I'm still cleaning, or those that have less than ideal furnishings. To say the least, if you find a bedroom with nothing in it, considering it off limit until they're clean. I've left doors open to the ones prepared for you, so please take your pick. I wandered up the stairs ahead of everyone, lugging his bag. Well, alright, that seems easy. With a place this big, are we meeting back up at some point later? You shall find the dining room off to your left. Make yourself comfortable, and I shall have refreshments ready if you need them. Well, alright. With a slight bow, the otter wandered off in the direction he pointed to the dining room before disappearing into an adjoining room. That left the rest of us to take our bags up and find rooms. We each had our own, and thankfully they were all fairly close to one another. I dropped my bag off in my room and and had a quick look around before wandering back downstairs. Seemed like everyone had already moved on though, so as I was soon standing by the foyer by myself. Alright, so that's where we explore the mansion. See what's in the mansion, so I'll just go in order. So, at the back of the foyer were doors that led out into the backyard. Even as approached, I could see through the windows that the place was surrounded by woods. Even stepping outside, the mountain air hit me hard in how it was fresh and clean. It smelled earthy and pleasant, reminding me of Dean outside of his normal honey scent. It's pretty great, isn't it? I blinked, having not noticed Dean and Saul standing nearby. Much like me, they seemed to just be taking things in, but Dean approached me, putting an arm over my shoulder. Got a greenhouse out there too. He pointed out a structure off to the side, which looked more like a garden shed made out of wood and glass. Haven't had a proper look inside yet, but whatever's growing in there seemed to be faring well enough. Mimicking Dean's motion, Saul pointed to a mass of green at the other side of the backyard. Hedge maze. Seems big. No sooner were the words out of Saul's mouth that both of us looked. Whoops. Jeez, my water bottle. Both of us looked at him. He was grinning happily to himself, mouth open as if readying himself to make a lewd comment, as he was prone to do. No, it's fine. The water bottle was closed, so there was no accident. So everything's fine. I just knocked it over. Saul rolled his eyes and moved his attentions elsewhere, leaving me to move Dean's focus elsewhere. So, Dean, remind me, your family is in the lumber business, right? That's just a gist of it, yeah. One side of the family, at least. Figured I'd go into it too eventually. What, and old Smokey is fine with that? Pfft, Grandpa used to be a firefighter. Wasn't much for the logging business, but understood you need wood to build houses. Dean's grandfather wasn't the Smokey Bear, but that's what we called him. Being a firefighter and a bear just makes that nickname kind of stick. Not that his grandfather said anything to dissuade us from using the nickname anyway. So, how is he these days anyway? He's good. Whole family is good, really. Don't get to talk to them a whole lot these days. You know how it is, yeah? Have to earn my chops somehow first. I nodded slowly, not really getting it, but Dean seems sure that that's what the correct move was. If earning his chops was what brought him to be out this way, then I'm thankful that's what's allowed us to meet. When I looked to Saul, he seems to be listening in, but as per usual, didn't seem to be actively contributing to the conversation. What about you, Sal? Wrestling still your thing? Yes and no. Physical therapy is what I'm going into. Wrestling is a hobby. What, like wrestling on TV? That sort? Yeah. I met Sal at the gym one night when I was working for a short stint to earn some cash. Turns out being a crocodile comes with a natural talent for submissions. Something to do with death rolls or something. It's good exercise. Prefer another kind of wrestling myself, if I'm being honest. I mean, he's a man of few words. Sal is shy, okay? He's quiet, but he has a strong heart. If you know what I mean. Also, Dean, stop. I could see Saul's jaw tighten despite Dean laughing off at his own joke. I'll leave you guys to it. Dean removed his arm from my over my shoulders and saw me off with a wave, with Saul snapping his attention from Dean to me so he could do the same. I wandered back inside, yeah. Oh, Oh, there we go, okay. It's just that, okay. The ground floor. I wandered into the dining room that the butler had pointed out to us before. The whole place seemed large, to the point it almost seemed silly that only the 7 of us were staying here. Well, 8 if you included the butler. Psst, Dave. I looked up from staring at the table to see a swinging door rock back and forth in the wake of a yellow tail disappearing behind it. Orlando? I found the kitchen! He gestured broadly, chest puffed out before returning to his normal half slouch. It's got anything and everything you could hope in for the way of ingredients. Even the expensive stuff too. Yeah. I gave him a wry smile, unsure of what to make of this information. Caviar? Sure, but also saffron, truffles. Basically anything you want. Cost isn't a factor here. Neat? Orlando huffed, a small tendril of smoke wafting from one of his nostrils. I may not have had caviar too much, but it doesn't interest me. There are better things to put in your mouth anyway. As he turned around to start looking in the pantry, listing off a bunch of things he'd suggest instead, I recognized a pattern. They're all baked goods. He was all about the baking, actually. Right from the day we met until a week ago, where he brought over some cookies from a supposed failed attempt. But Orlando's fails were still a wild success. Were still wild successes. His bread was the fluffiest from how warm his hands got when kneading, and his sweets were great too. But I guess if you wanted to try caviar, it's there. At least it's, I guess, ready to go. Well, maybe. After all, mention high life. When might I get another chance? Exactly, mention! Or just maybe don't go shoveling it in your mouth if you like it. It's expensive and I don't think you could cover the bill easily. I guess you'll just have to get some baking done to make me snacks. That got a laugh out of him, and I chuckled along too. Well, I was planning on using this place to keep my baking skills sharp. Have to keep my practice up if I want to run. My God, have to keep my practice up if I want to run my own bakery someday. I looked around the kitchen, noticing that aside from the ingredients that Orlando had pulled from the cupboard, there were snacks and sandwiches laid out. Are these? Orlando followed my fingers as I pointed out to the sandwiches. Oh yeah, those were made by the butler. I think this is lunch. Should I go grab everyone? They know where it is. Although I think he might have underestimated how much we might eat. Unless he's hidden the actual lunch somewhere. Or he hasn't made it yet. There's that too. Maybe. I took a sandwich, looking around and taking a bite. Hey Orlando, are you the only one out here? Oh honey, we're also out. Oh honey, you're also out, remember? No, I mean in the kitchen. Oh, right. I think I saw Dean and Saul head toward the pool while Roswell and Haas went upstairs. I nodded, taking another bite off my sandwich. Gonna keep exploring after you've finished your... Gonna keep exploring after you finish your sandwich? We're still a ways off dinner, so you've got some time to do something at least. Yeah, I might. Either that or a nap. A nap? But you slept on the bus. I don't know. Maybe I just need a little longer. Well, okay, but don't sleep too long or you won't sleep tonight. I wouldn't put it past Roswell to try and give you candy either. And that combination is just asking for trouble. I promise, I'll set an alarm to make sure I don't sleep through dinner. You're lucky that this place apparently has a dinner bell. Still, set an alarm just in case. Gotcha. Orlando came in and gave me a quick hug before turning quickly to the pantry again. As for me, I'll hang out here and make sure Saul and Dean don't eat too many sandwiches when they finally show up. I'm less worried about Haas and Roswell eating them all. Just remember you're allowed to have fun exploring too. I will! Don't worry, I'll see you when it's time for dinner or if you get bored looking around. Alrighty, see ya. With a wave, Orlando saw me off and I made my way out side door. There we go. This is why I love Orlando. He's sweet and cute. I like him. The first floor was where all the bedrooms were, each one fitting with its own bathroom, and most of not all seems to be furnished the same. It was almost like a hotel, really. A really strange hotel, given each room seemed to be set up for a single person, just for a single person. Or maybe a few smaller people, given the size of the bed. Dean and Saul were easily the largest in our group, and the beds seemed to be made for people half their size. Not that I was complaining. The idea of space seemed great, if maybe a little lonely. I looked around in a few other ones that the butler had pointed out to us. For being off limits, they were easy enough to get to, and not really well marked. But they were bare of even a bed, and I soon found myself returning to my own. My mind wandered towards Roswell, Haas, and Dean. The first two were small enough to consider bunking up and given their size of the beds, but maybe they just wanted the privacy. As for Dean, well, that was probably a better idea that we weren't sharing a bed just yet. I was still undecided about how fast I should be moving for someone that I was looking for a proper date. Sleeping in the same bed seems to have expectations. Yeah. Wait, am I giving a choice? In the door. After all, my room was home. It was in the attic and the top floor anyway. Maybe it was just me being used to having everything else in the house underneath. I stretched, wondering what I should do. Okay, I was wondering. As I made my way up the stairs, I could hear some people talking amongst themselves about how they were finding the place. When I entered the room, Haas and Roswell turned to me, flashing me a smile each. There you are, Dave. This place is pretty ritzy, huh? They even have a conservatory. A what? It's like a glass sitting room. Oh, neat. Where is that? Dave, you're standing in it now. I caught Roswell snickering to himself while I looked around the place. Neat? You can't hear how good the acoustics are in here? It'd be great for doing some lines. Honestly, I don't know if glass panels are good for actually sound. Though, if the room is big enough, the acoustic might be good, but in my opinion, it might need some isolations. Sorry, that's just my sound tech mind speaking out for me. Sorry. The acoustics. This room isn't even the coolest thing on this floor. There's a museum too, or I guess it's more like a trophy room. Has a bunch of books though. Us and I had met at the start of the year, an aspiring actor if there ever was one. Rumor floated around about a failed TV star moving into the neighborhood, but I never expected, well, anyone like him. The day I ran into Huss, I remember it being a little confusing, but I apparently had good energy as far as improv was concerned, even if I wasn't sure I was doing it right. As for Roswell, we met as kids. Was really into magic tricks, and even if his tricks didn't always work, still, they were just some things that he was able to pull off that I couldn't figure out, and that was magical enough for me. Now he's just into occult stuff. Not really sure why, but he finds it interesting and torments Orlando with it every now and again. Imagine if they had a skeleton on display. What kind? Any, really. Dinosaur would obviously be ideal. What, so you can compare Saul to Orlando for scale? Hey, it doesn't have to be a dinosaur skeleton. Although, now you mention it. There's also a library up here too. One of those big ones. Looks like it might go across a couple of floors, but I didn't really check. And a small study too. This place has everything, huh? Wonder why they needed all these things. Who used to live here? Don't ask me. I don't know. Hold on. So, isn't one of your folks' houses? Or a relative of yours? Well, they could be. I didn't really pay attention to the details, and my parents did most of the organizing anyway. Okay, but surely you remember whose house this is. I was just so excited. I didn't really think it'd be that important to commit to memory. Besides, when you get told you can spend a month at a mansion as a vacation, all expenses paid, how much do you really need to be worrying about details if it's organized by your parents? I guess. Still, there's something around that Teras whose place this is. Well, maybe we could ask the butler. He was expecting you, so I'm sure we're allowed to be here. Yeah, come dinner we'll know. Huss sighed, shaking his head and running a hand through his mane. Well, I'm going to keep looking around, I think. Me too. There's still a few places I want to look at more thoroughly. What are your plans, Dave? Dunno. Might go find the others. Might go take a nap, not too sure yet. Well, okay. Wait, sorry. Wrong voice. Shit. It's already started. Frick. Well, okay. You know where to find us if you get bored. But with a place this big, I might start looking around somewhere else. Alright. Worst case scenario, I'll see you both at dinner. Sounds good to me. Alright, the last place. The basement. There were a set of stairs leading down from the ground floor, descending into almost pitch black. I fumbled forward, wandering and reaching around in search of a light switch. Suddenly, the light came on. Oh, neat! I stopped my sentence midway, suddenly feeling a presence watching me. As I turned to look, a set of hands landed heavily on my shoulders, making me squeak and tense up. Boo. The sound I made wasn't manly by any stretch, but as I turned around to look at Tyson, he seemed to look to be amused enough at my reaction, despite the daggers I was glaring at him. Ty! What? You scared me! Yeah, and it was hilarious. Didn't think I'd get you that good. I grumbled, rubbing my face. You're terrible. I bet you turned the lights off on purpose just so you could jump out at me. Me? Nah. Never turned them on. Night vision is good enough to see down here fine. The longer I looked him over, the more I noticed he was trying really hard not to squint, and he looked a little dazed. Shh. Blah. And you totally didn't just blind yourself to scare me either. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, there's not much down here. You can go back upstairs now. No, I want to see what's down here. You've been down here for a while, I think. Sure, fine, whatever. Go nuts looking. Or you could just tell me what's down here if that's a problem. There's a gym. Only thing worth mentioning anyway. I looked around Ty to the other doors leading off. There was no way all of these just led to the gym and nowhere else. Just a gym, huh? Well, Ty gestured over his shoulders to one door that looked different to the rest. It was big and looked heavy, but beyond just being a different door to the rest of others, just looked out of place down here. Probably just best if I show you. Come on, pup. Here's the most important room in the game, actually, probably. You will be coming down here often. The room beyond that door was a fairly small one. The main features of it were really just a large door opposite to where we came in. If the door we came through was odd compared to the others, this new door was another magnitude of more strange. It even had a keypad next to it, as if wanting a combination to even open. What kind of room even is this? Beats me. Looks like a blank vault from a TV show. Even had that keypad on it. Wants a combination, and nothing I put in get it to work. Not I tried hard. The beeping got on my nerves. I wandered closer to have a look. It seems like a functional keypad with letters prominently displayed on a lot of keys with numbers and symbols. It much smaller print above them, much like a computer keyboard. Well, at least we know it's a word, right? I guess. I don't know how many letters, and fuck knows it's just random letters at that. Oh. Pressing the same letter over and over to see if it capped out got me nowhere. Not even an incorrect sounding noise, given I hadn't pushed the confirm button. Wow, you weren't kidding. It's just a door, no telling what's on the other side, and frankly, unless it's a buttload of gold we get to keep, I don't care. I guess so. I looked at the door again, eyeing the keypad. It couldn't hurt to have an actual try, right? Maybe. So, this is the most important screen. Whenever you see the screen, you must commit in your mind to just save the game. You will need to save the game every time you come here. As for now, there is nothing that we can put in, but there is one thing we can still do. It's very optional. It's like kind of a bonus password. If you put the password lovers, basically it's going to give you a boost of, it's kind of a cheat code. It's going to like give you, it's going to help you having a relationship with every characters. It's something completely optional, but I'll press enter just to show you that it's something you can do here. Oh wait, really? Maybe it's not now. Maybe it's after we find the path, or after after we actually maybe it's a little later, but I know it's a valid. Wait, it's in my notes. Hold on. Yeah, no, it was that. Lovers, get closer to characters. Much like what Tyson said, this thing was just going to be a simple thing to open. Ah, well, I looked back to Tyson, who seems to not be paying attention. What? You're zoning out? Only thing I care about down here is the gym. You have fun with the door, Dave. What? Don't care about me too? You stop that, fucking brat. I poked my tongue at him, thinking about the gym. You know, some might want to use the gym too, so at least you'd have a gym partner. He's into wrestling, right? Can't I just lift the weights in peace? It's not like you had a gym membership back home. Nah, you just let me in sometimes while you were at work. Hey, I had an employee pass. I wasn't going to use it. Yeah, it shows. Hey! As I huffed, Ty laughed to himself. Sure enough, a smile crept up onto my face, having been affected by the laughing. So, what's the plan now? Probably do weights until it's time to eat. The rest of the house doesn't interest me at all that much. Not even a little? I'll look around later. Well, okay. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I'll see you at dinner, though. I followed Tyson back out into the basement proper and watched as he continued straight into another room, presumably the gym. As for me, I detoured and went back downstairs, pondering what I should do next. Okay. So, yeah, this is not gonna be important, so I can override it. It was just to show you that the vote is important somehow. You'll know later. Finish exploring. I yawned, finding my way into my room. As I flopped onto my bed, I patted my stomach, sighing out having eaten something to tide me until the dinner. The nap on the bus was a couple hours, but even then, I didn't sleep well last night. Maybe it was the idea of being far from home for a whole month that made me uneasy. Maybe it was something else messing with me. Something had been bugging me ever since we pulled up. Something that was prodding me in the back of my mind as if I'd forgotten something really important. I must have fallen asleep at some point. Every now and again I'd get dreams, but nothing really all that abnormal. Sure, they were sometimes random, but whose dreams weren't sometimes? I awoke to the sound of something echoing around the house. Oh, the dinner bell? As I got up from my bed, I wondered how long I've actually been asleep for. Dave, dinner's ready! Roswell must have been just down the hall, or maybe outside my door. It was hard to tell given how open this place was. Sound seemed to carry easy enough. It's the same thing, lunch, dinner, same thing. Which was probably why I heard the dinner bell as well. For a moment I thought it was something like an odd fashion fire alarm. As I stepped out from my room, I caught a glimpse of Roswell heading down the stairs, taking them two at the time before almost slipping and falling over as he bound down the last one a little too eagerly. As I stepped into the dining room, I was greeted with a spread of food far too impressive and grandiose for just the seven of us. Dave, welcome! What do you think? Pretty good, huh? Wait, you made all this? He helped. Orlando laughed, waving Saul off, although it was clear that he'd been busted. My attention went back to the table, looking over at what food was there. Various smells assaulted me and made my mouth water sooner than I was able to identify what each thing was by sight alone. With all the food at one end of the table, the others seemed to be piling up their plates and taking it to the other end of the table. Much like the others, I took a plate and grabbed a little bit of everything before deciding where I wanted to sit. I felt like sitting in the high school cafeteria, except more intimate. And much like how I was trying to figure out where to sit, the others were eyeing me, almost expectantly. So this is still not where you choose your route, but I'll still save because I think you still get like relationship points if you sit with the person you want to choose, but it's still not the time where we choose our route. I will say when it's the time we choose the route, but I will still go for the character that I want to go for the route first, which is Orlando. Because I like Orlando so much. I wandered over to Orlando, who seemed to be more interested in taking stock of what everyone else had picked from what was available. Orlando? It's cool if I sit next to you, right? Go right ahead. As I sat down, Orlando went back to double-checking as if making a list in his head. He played a great host, and it was an excellent. Was an excellent cook. He was very much the group mom if he ever was one, but more often than not, he'd be equal part gentleman. You're in for a treat tonight, Dave. What sort of treat? Well, having helped with dinner, I know what's coming up next. Plus, I just had to make sure everything was above board. What, with dessert? Well, that, but also can't have Roswell eating bacon. That'd be a little, I don't know, in poor taste? Plus pudding. Don't remind me. He'd probably skulk if he didn't get pudding knowing that I helped cook. I chuckled, shaking my head. Originally, we were going to do Originally, we were going to do the whole dramatic reveal with clutches and everything, but it seems a little hard to really pull off. A what? It's those dome things you put over food. Think like room service or in those cooking shows. Oh, neat. Then his attention turned to the plate I had, and I looked across to his to compare. Both of us had an even mix of vegetable and meat. While both didn't pick the same things, the ratios seemed about the same. Good, and that a nice mix. What, you were worried I'd load up with just one thing? Orlando gestured over to Tyson, who had basically nothing but meat, and then to Saul, who had a little bit of everything that was available, then to Roswell, who seemed to have somewhat of an even mix. What's wrong with Roswell's plate? He just picked everything that seems that had some element of sweetness to it. Whether he knows it or not, he sure has a knack for picking the sweet things. Sure, but that's not bad, right? Not really. I mean, the worst is that the balance of his meal is all off. Coupled with dessert, he better brush his teeth well. I laughed, nervous as I started to eat with Orlando doing the same. Say, Dave, what do you want for dessert? Me? I think I'd be fine with whatever. Okay, but if you could have any dessert in the world, what would you pick? I frowned, thinking about it seriously. What was my favorite dessert? Or was it less that and just what I was craving at the time? I really don't know. Well, hopefully you'll like it what I made you then. Whoa, you were in charge of desserts? Hey, it's the best thing I ate to end a meal, and I figured why not tailor make something for everyone. So until it comes out, maybe just think about what I made for you. I nodded slowly, wondering what I was going to get. It wasn't long before the door to the kitchen swung open, with the butler emerging from a small tray of what appeared to be desserts. Desserts is served, gentlemen. However, this particular spread was mostly Master Orlando's contributions to the meal, having tried to make something each particularly like to ease into your stay here. Orlando went bright red, fidgeting in his chair. The butler wheeled the tray around the table, placing a dessert in front of each of us, ending with me. Oh, thank you. What is it, Master Dave? I don't think I got your name. Oh, I'm no one of import. Pay it no mind. Is it Jeeves? Jeeves? No, it's not Jeeves. Pardon? Your name. What about Alfred? The butler eyed me carefully before speaking clearly and plainly. You may call me Benson. It is a pleasure to meet you all. He bowed slightly before gently placing the dessert intended for me on the table. If that will be all, gentlemen, I hope you enjoy your dessert and enjoy the rest of your evening. Feel free to leave your plates where they are and I will collect them later. I looked at the dessert placed in front of me and cooed softly. I hope you like it. It's then I noticed that Orlando didn't have anything in front of him as far as dessert. Hey, what about yours? What about mine? Well, where is it? Oh, I didn't want anything, honest. Really? That seems sort of out of character. I did the cooking, so I'm just... I don't know. It seems less special if I made it. Besides, He patted his belly lightly, sighing out. It's not as if I need dessert. I'll be fine for one night. Oh. I looked to mine, then back to Orlando, and then slid my plate closer to him. Here, have a bite of mine. Just a single bite won't hurt, right? You're sweet, but no. Thanks though. Not even a little, just a little bit? Nah, I made you tiramisu, knowing how you love your coffee so much. Coffee and I, He leaned in, dropping his voice to a whisper. It's not a good mix. I looked around before looking to Orlando with a wry smile. Well, thanks for making this for me, Orlando. Don't worry about it, Dave. Just enjoy. I stole another look at everyone around the table, and they seemed to be happy enough with what their desserts were like. For me, my tiramisu was creamy and chocolatey, but with those familiar coffee tones that hit my nose whenever I moved my spoon through the cream. The scent of coffee always made me nostalgic, maybe because of how often I smelled it around the family house. It was a safe place, or at least something that I associated with safety. Before I knew it, I'd finished, sighing out of content, if a little sleepy, despite there being coffee involved. With everyone well fed, we filed out into the foyer, ready to turn in for the night. Well, I'm beat. Time to turn in. Haven't eaten that well in a long time. It was good. Very good. Better than what I've been eating. Really? Really? Bleh! My god, confusing voices again. Bleh. That restaurant, that was my god, that was restaurant quality, wasn't it? I'd say better. It was a perfect mix of restaurant quality and homely charm. I could feel Orlando tense up next to me. He took pride in his cooking, so I wasn't sure if he was taking this as a challenge or an overall comment on his capacity as a cook. So, everyone turning in? I think so. I'm with Dean on this one. Dean shuffled up to me and put an arm over my shoulder, flashing me a particularly brand of grin. You're with me, are you? Knowing where I'm going? Back off, bear. I blinked. Having heard that tone before, it was angry, possessive, and while rarely directed at me, it didn't normally mean anything good. It must have caught Dean off guard, as he pulled his arm back and stepped away soon after. I heard Sal say something to Dean, arms folded across his chest, while Dean looked sheepish yet apologetic. But as far for Orlando, he'd stepped forward to confront Tyson. You shouldn't mind your tone, Wolf. What? You looking to pick a fight with how I talk? Over how I talk? If that was talking, I'd hate to have a civil conversation with you. The two started snarling at one another, and I looked between them, not sure of how to defuse the situation. As Ty took a step towards Orlando, Sal stepped over from his talk with Dean and grabbed Ty under his arms, lifting him with just off the ground so he couldn't do anything anymore. Or anything more. Huss pulled Orlando aside to keep them properly separated. This might not be the best time, but I wanted to pitch something to everyone. Somehow it was enough to diffuse the situation that Roswell seemed to have room to speak freely. So, we're here for a month. I figure why not make a game of it while we're here? What sort of game? Well, Huss and I found a gaming room on the same floor as the bedrooms, so I was thinking of something that DVDs or video games couldn't quite offer. Something we can do as a group, or even teams. Oh, but what do you have in mind? I haven't gotten that far. There were grumbles from some of the others before I asked if he had any ideas, and the fire reignited in Roswell's eyes. Yeah, something I'll need to ask Benson first, but it has the potential to be a lot of fun. I like fun. Besides, playing only video games for the month seems, I don't know, like a waste of a mention? I agree. Not bad to have another option, I suppose. Outside of maybe finding a spot to do some fishing, I don't have any ideas. Sounds good to me. If you need help, just give me a heads up. Same here. But for now I'm going to go to bed. Makes two of us. Night, everyone. Dean and Huss wandered up the stairs and out of sight. Night, Dave. Yeah. Well, yeah, sleep well. See you at breakfast? Then Roswell and Orlando followed suit. Ty shrugged Saul off, grumbling. He was let go and kicked the ground, annoyed. Tyson didn't really say much else, shooting Saul an unimpressed look before heading upstairs. As for Saul, he nodded once and gave him a small wave before heading upstairs like all the others before him. I stood there taking another look around the grand entry, the furnishings, the stairs leading up to the first floor. If I were royalty, I'd feel the part in the castle easily. But still, something wasn't quite right. Something foreboding seemed to be lingering just beyond view. Something that was making me feel uneasy in the pit of my stomach. I feel the hair of my neck stand on the end as I spun to see if anyone was there. If I hadn't watched Ty go upstairs on his own, I'd have assumed he was playing another trick on me. Still, I was alone as far as I could see. No one's there, right? Silence. Mr. Benson? More silence. Maybe it was just tiredness. After all, there wasn't anything sinister here, right? We could trust Roswell's capacity to not invite us to a murder mansion for a vacation, right? Sure. Nothing could have beat the sight of my bed by the time I got up to my room. As soon as I lay down and my head hit the pillow, I was out like a light. Oh, now it says the path. Huh, interesting. I must have forgotten to set an alarm, for when I woke up I had no idea what time it was. Still, I was thankful that my room had an adjoining bathroom, a comfort that I was still somewhat familiar with given what my bedroom was like at home. My muscles felt sore, maybe just from being in an unfamiliar bed, but given I had my own shower, what better time to test it out? I didn't have one before bed, and there's something to be said about bathing regularly. Yeah, thankfully there is nothing not safe for work here. Thankfully. Once I was under the water, I realized how gross I felt. Maybe it was just from sitting in a bus for hours, then wandering around in an old house. Thankfully, I wasn't sharing bed with anyone. But if that was going to happen, I guess the incentive to have a shower beforehand would have been there. Once I was dressed, I headed downstairs to breakfast, assuming everyone else was already there. Sure enough, I was the last to arrive. Much like dinner, there were trays out the typical breakfast fixings: toast, eggs, bacon, cereal. Hotel buffet style if I scaled down a little bit just for the 7 of us. Good morning! Morning, Roswell. I sat down with my breakfast, looking at what seemed to be distracting him. The first thing I noticed was his notepad, open to a blank page with his pen poised to write something. It seemed like he was about to start writing before I noticed what was keeping him from doing so. His gaze pointed out at 2 distinct groups at the table. At the far end of the table were Ty and Saul, with Saul almost playing it as a barrier between Tyson and the rest of us, sitting at the other end of the table. They weren't making conversation with one another, although Saul seemed much more eager to eat than Ty. Down to our end of the table, Dean was making small talk with Orlando and Huss, but without fail, each of them would look over to the other 2. Things still tender from last night? A little bit, I think. No punches being thrown, but still. Was it really that bad? Roswell shot me a look, as if expecting me to know the answer. Hopefully this blows over soon. It's going to make an awkward month if they keep going at it the whole time. I nodded slowly, scratching the back of my head. We'd been here for one night, and if we were here for a whole month, infighting was going to get old fast. It'll probably be fine. There's enough space to keep them separate. Probably enough space to let all of us do our own thing without stepping on any toes. Where does that leave you, though? Me? I was going to finalize this thing and talk to Benson about stuff. Maybe look into what's around the mansion beyond the trees. What, in the forest? You were sleeping for most of the trip. but I know there's a river out there for if we wanted to go swimming or fishing. Fishing maybe, but we have the pool for swimming. Okay, what about an old shack? What, like an old tool shed? Exciting. More like a cabin, you dummy. How do you even know about something like that anyway? Roswell seemed taken aback, looking thoughtful, if confused for a moment before replying. I think it was my parents. It might have been Benson. I don't know. Huh. Definitely not up to something. Tyson got up suddenly. Sorry. Need to hydrate myself? Got up suddenly, seemingly done with his meal and left. All eyes were on him as he did, but he didn't seem to care. As for Saul, he moved up to the rest of the group, but remained as stoic as ever. Yes, water is important. Orlando, for the most part, seemed the most relieved with Ty's absence, but Dean was the first to speak. Well, I don't know what you guys are planning on today, but I want to check out that greenhouse on the back. See what's growing in there. I'll go swim, maybe, or the gym downstairs. How's that activity shaping up, Roswell? Any chance to talk to Benson about it yet? Not yet. I hope I have something sorted soon, though. If I see him before you do, I'll mention you want to see him. Oh, that's okay. I was going to wait here until he came to clean up after breakfast. Works for me. Gives me a chance to go for a walk and check out the rest of the place. Makes that the two of us. I'll see you guys around. So we're all splitting up? Seems like it. See everyone at the mealtime. Once everyone else had left, that just left Roswell and I. He still had his pen poised to write, but his page was still empty. Need a hand? Oh, that's alright. You just get some coffee in before you go feral. Hey, I'm not that bad without coffee. You're pretty bad. Fine. I ate and drank in relative silence. The prospect of me getting coffee seemingly an inspiration for a novel by how much Roswell was suddenly jotting down. When I was done, I left the dining room to explore. Okay, I think it's like the first day where it doesn't really matter where you go. It's just more exploration, so yeah. I wandered outside in search of the pool. I didn't have to look very hard, as the smell of chlorine and the sounds of splashing guided me towards a large fan-stuffed area at one end of the backyard. Sal was on the other side of the fence, swimming laps. While I looked for a way in, he came over to wait by the side of the pool. I don't know how I missed the gate twice on my search, but once I'd found it, I wandered over to Saul. Took you long enough. Hey, the gate's hard to find. There's a few. I watched Saul as Saul then proceeded to point out each of the gates in turn. I felt stupid for not seeing them sooner, but it was easy to see them now that I knew what they looked like. Oh, neat. They're not that hard to spot, if you know what you're looking for. I guess that's just one of the things that I just haven't had much exposure to. You know, not having a pool at home and all. Do you not know how to swim? Nah, I know how to swim. I've been to the beach, and parents had me take lessons when I was a kid. The corners of Saul's mouth went up in a jeering smile. Lessons. Cute. Taking a breath in, he dove back into the pool and disappeared under the water. His silhouette moved as he swam from one end of the pool and back without coming up for air once. When he came back, I could see him staring at me from under the water, expression focused if uncertain. With him swimming around so much, I wondered if I should have brought my own swimming trunks with how tempting it was looking. Soon enough, he continues his lap, leaving me to look around. There wasn't much to the pool itself, aside from it being large. There were storage lockers here, most of which were open shy of 2 that seems to be closed and locked. Aside from that, some spare pool gear, flippers, standard stuff. All of it was in its own locker behind a wire fence. I was back in front of the lockers, checking things out before I realized Saul was standing behind me. Almost effortlessly, he picked me up by the waist and shifted me aside to get to the locker I had been standing in front of. Pulling out a key of his Speedo, he opened one of the lockers. You have your own locker already? I needed a place to store my towel. Oh, right, that makes sense. You can take a different one. Keys are just sticking out. If you ever decide to join me. Despite retrieving a towel, he didn't retrieve his clothes, instead looking off somewhere and leaving his locker open. I looked inside, back to Saul, then to the locker again. Showers are this way. Okay, neat. Did you see they have flippers? Flippers, Saul. You don't need flippers if you can swim. But they're fun. They make you go fast. Saul shook his head, sighing. He closed the door to his locker and led the way over to what appeared to be a stall using wooden privacy screen, similar to what you'd see at a beach. Can you hold my towel? Okay, sure, easy. Saul disappeared behind the screen and threw his towel over the top of the booth. I caught it, admitting how plush it was to the touch, wondering if this was the same towel from one of the bathroom insides. I heard the water start to run, and I called over to Saul. How was the water today? Good? Yes. His voice came out clear enough, so I guess he could hear me fine enough. And you were just doing laps? There was a grunt of an affirmation before I heard the water turn off. I grimaced, wondering if I was just a poor conversationalist. My god, that is a weird word. That said, Saul had always sort of been this way as far as interactions. I realized that despite hearing the water turn off, Saul hadn't said anything. I think he just wants the towel back. I think. In the same way that it had been thrown over for the first time, I returned it the same way. The sound of it being snatched out of the air preceded the sound of hurried drying. Thank you. Yeah, okay, he wanted that. Saul stepped out. He didn't usually smile, but he stepped past, patting me on the shoulder as we headed over to the deck chairs. Good weather for relaxing. Oh yeah, I don't think they were forecasting any rain today, at least. Even if it rains, it'd be fine. I like the rain. Hey, he's so me! He likes the rain! I remember the day we met. The day we met well. It'd been raining, and I noticed that Saul had been standing outside in it for a solid hour. At first, I thought he'd just forgotten his umbrella while he was waiting for the bus home. Yes, indeed, Crocs likes rain. Nope, he just really enjoyed the rain. So, I think I'm just going to go check out other parts of the house. Okay. I could have sworn that there was a tinge of sadness in his voice, but he made no effort to stop me going. Maybe he was lonely, but Saul hadn't struck me as someone wanting company all that often, if at all. Remember, the gate is over there. Laughing nervously, I backed away and left Saul to his own devices. It was hard enough to get a read on him even on a good day, but that's just the kind of person he was. Honestly, I relate to Saul. It's hard to it's hard to talk to people, you know. I do relate to Saul. He's a sweet guy. It didn't take long wandering around the first floor to find the games room. It was one of the bigger rooms on the floor by far. The moment I stepped in, I almost jumped from the sudden cheering coming from Orlando standing by a machine against the wall. High score! Woo! As I wandered closer, I saw that he was hunched over a pinball machine. A look of focus and joy spread across his face as he watched the ball move about inside of the machine. While he finished his game, I had a look around the room. There was a bar in the corner, a few tables set up, and shy of the mass of beanbags stacked neatly on the far wall, I would have assumed it was a casino. Pretty cool, huh? I looked across to Orlando, who spoke while he played with his eyes still tracking the ball. It's very, said ritzy, but he's been saying that about the place in general, really. Orlando stepped back from the machine, having finished his game for the time being. He's not wrong though. When I walked in, I thought I was about to get carded for wandering into a private casino. He then pointed out some more machine nearby against the wall that seemed to be just slot machines. And just as well, I don't have my ID on me. But you're not underage. Neither of us are anymore. Don't they need to do that anyway? Just to be sure? Maybe? But even then, you've got your wallet on you, right? The next thing I saw was Orlando patting his pockets frantically. I must have left it in my room. Then you could have just gone in your room to get it, right? Oh, I suppose that's true. Better tell Roswell, cause he's going to get carded for sure. Assuming they let him in at all, I somehow think a casino wouldn't want Roswell anywhere near the card tables. I'm afraid that he might start counting the cards, you know, like those guys that just used math powers in order to win games. I think they are called counters, right? Right, Dave? Between you forgetting your ID and Roswell not being allowed in, I'm sure you two would much rather go do something else anyway. Probably. The pair of them made quite the duo, which was probably why they ended up having a lot of fun running through the school's anime club, as unpopular as it was at the start of this year. So, have you just been playing pinball, or have you tried anything else in here? Mostly pinball. Didn't want to try setting the other thing up just yet. What other thing? There's a whole bunch of gaming systems hooked up to a TV or projector sort of thing over there. I couldn't figure out how to turn it on. And when there's something I can pick up and play it, why bother? That, I guess? There are card tables too, as I'm sure you've seen. More for poker, I think, but that's more Roswell's thing. My sort of cards have a full of hoils and set numbers. Oh yeah, from the booster packs. Then you made decks and win. I prefer more to collect. Tried the competitive thing once, but well, you were there for that. At the convention, right? You didn't play many card games. You were there to look at the other things anyway. Still, it was a nice adventure we took, huh? You just like going in costume, as that one game that was really hard. Hey, that was a bit of fun. But I don't think many people recognize the character. It was still fun though. Maybe next time Roswell will come. At the very least, it's good to know that there's something else here I can do instead of hanging around in the kitchen every day. Given how you made everyone desserts last night, it's no surprise you spent a lot of time in the kitchen. Well, I tried with what I had to work with. Tyson and Haas were the hard ones. You did like yours though, right? Yeah, oh wait, that was Orlando speaking. Whoops. Yeah, it had coffee, so I was happy. But now that I think about it... What? Are you open to requests? Depends. On what? The freezer is completely stockpiled with stuff, so we're fine for food for a long time, it seems. Same for the pantry, at least for the basic sundries. So as long as it's within the house and not overly complex, there shouldn't be any problems. So, what if I wanted a pie? Pie, huh? Sure, pie is great. Pies should be easy enough. What flavor though? I scratched my chin thinking about it. So I remember for sure that he hates pumpkin, so pumpkin is definitely not the answer if I want to win him over. So he hates pumpkin pie. I think the right answer might be cherry here. I think. No sooner had I said my preference than a broad grin broke out over Orlando's face. Eyes wide and shimmer with delight. Cherry pie? For a moment I thought I'd said something wrong with how he was reacting, but he quickly grabbed my hands in his, happy as he could be. Yeah, okay, so cherry was the right answer. Okay, good. I love cherry pie. Oh, but why? The tartness, the color, the flavor. Plus, it was my favorite. It was a favorite of my grandpa's, so it's all in good memories. It's probably the best pie there is. Have you not had it before? I shook my head, shrugging. That's criminal. Well, good thing you picked the cherry then. I laughed, backing up a little bit. Did you need help making it? No, I got it covered. The kitchen has a great old oven. No need to breathe on anything this time. Because get it, he's a dragon, he can breathe fire. Ha ha ha. I don't think you need to breathe on anything last time though. If you have fire breath, why not try it? Imagine how handy it'd be to know what you can and can't use it for. But cooking? Grandpa seemed to think that it was a neat idea to try. You know, make the most of what skills you have. I mean, it was a little burned in places, and undercooked in others. Not my proudest moment. As much of a failing that experiment was, Orlando was typically on the mark with his more experimental pieces. He'd made the call to use his fire breath when the oven was playing up and, well... Still, gotta keep at it, right? I'm in it just to make things, and pie is just pie. Pie is pie. Yup. And something I'll also need to get started on later. So I'm going to get some more exploring done before I get stuck in the kitchen. Oh, you don't need to do it right away, honest. Don't worry, I want to make you a pie. I really do. Oh, well, so I'll see you at dinner I think. Just don't go sleeping through it if you go for a nap. I won't. Orlando bounded past me and out the door, leaving me alone in the room. It seemed like a fun place, but without anyone to share it with, there was little reason to stay. There was every chance I'd find myself back in here later. So for now I left. Alright, next. I found myself heading down to the basement. Even as I walked down, I could hear the smell of someone down there. Groans and grunts, clanking of metal. The clanking of metal. It was only a matter of following the sounds until I came across another room down there, well lit and lined with training equipment. 56, 57. From the looks of things, Tyson was doing weights, laying on his back and pushing himself without assistance. I could have sworn it was dangerous to do stuff like this solo, so he seemed to be managing. Not that I really knew despite having a part-time job in a gym for a while. 58. He was struggling now, arms shaking as he was doing reps. I'd stayed near the entrance. I'd hate to see him accidentally drop it over his chest. I don't think I'd been much help getting it off of him. 59. Then with a growl, he put the weight back on its stand, flopping over bench, panting hard, tongue lolling out of the side of his mouth. Working hard? What, Dave? How long have you been standing there anyway? Not long. What? What do you want? I was just checking in. I saw you were doing weights and was probably not going to anymore. He rubbed his arms, looking gingerly over at the machine. Might have pushed a little hard this time. Added on too much weight or something. My arms are killing me already. Still, I love that feeling you get after working out. The way that my muscles feel. Don't do it as often as I want, but makes me feel strong, yeah? I mean, we could probably find a way to get you a gym membership, if you want it at least. Pass. I can make do at home. You, on the other hand, could do some exercise. Could do with some exercise, but hey, I'm not that. I poked at my belly, grimacing. I'm just fluffy. Yeah. Besides, last time I worked out, I don't think I was doing something right. Ended up hurting all over for a couple of days after. Don't remember you asking me for advice. Oh no, I just went down the park and kind of wanted to I just went down the park and kind of just wanted to try to copy what they were doing. I knew as soon as I said that, Ty was getting the wrong idea. Watching other guys, huh? Not like that, just to copy. Yeah, sure you were. I grumbled despite Ty thoroughly enjoying the implications of what I'd said. So, checked in enough yet? If all you're doing is lifting weights, I guess so. With the amount of noise you were making, it could have been anything. Didn't realize I was so loud. I guess I shouldn't be more careful in the future. Or, you know, close the door to the gym. Maybe I like to make a little noise. Besides, you could only hear me once you were down there, right? Well, yeah, I guess. That and smell you. Tyson's gaze narrowed. My nose twitched as I tilted my head slowly with a frown, uncertain of what he was looking at me, looking like that for. You can smell me, huh? Yeah? And? My nose twitched again as I thought over my reply. You can use a fucking what? Could you use a shower? I saw Ty's eye narrow further before he lifted his tank up slightly to give it a sniff. Grumbling, he sighed out and shrugged. You try smelling like flour after doing exercise? Not that you can do much of it anyway. Hey, I do stuff. Yeah? Then you're doing yard work next time while I sit back with a lemonade? Well, Yeah, I think it is, sadly. I think the other one is, like, better. But I'm not gonna Anyways, this is Orlando's route, okay? Tyson tussled the top of my head, messing up my fur. Don't stress it, pup. But I mean it. You flag out on yard work again, just to take it easy, and I'll be driving a knuckle into your head until you apologize. I chuckled, embarrassed. Taking a step back, I figured it'd be best to perhaps change the topic of the conversation. So what? Are you just going to keep exercising, or are you done for the day? Haven't decided yet. Probably best if I stay out of the way of everyone else. We just don't get on. Don't think we ever will, right? Can't blame Ty for feeling this way. After all, for a lot of us, he'd been a common link given the schools he'd been up into the past. This didn't help that in nearly all of them, he was kicked out for bad behavior. His reputation as a bully preceded him. Not to mention how he behaved last night. But somehow we'd end up with the unlikely friends given the happenstance, really. Well, what? I guess I'll leave you to it. I'm just gonna keep exploring. Alright, see ya, pup. I wandered out of the gym and headed back upstairs, leaving Tyson to figure out what he wanted to do on his own. Conservatory. I wandered all the way upstairs to where I'd run into Roswell and Huss the day before. As I entered the room, I saw Haas looking around, seemingly minding his own business. Well, hey. Hey. So what brings you up here? Just looking around. What, not looking to spend some quality time with me instead? No, you're boring? Sorry. Oh, you know, if you just wanted some quality time with Really? Did he said that? Why? You just had to ask. Oh my god. That's not, Come on, Dave. Relax a little. That's what I'm doing, after all. In here? Well, I told you, he's sort of boring. I don't like him. Why not? Conservatories are great, like greenhouses for people. So you can be outside without being outside? Hey, there's more to it than that. How often you get to be in a That is a hard word, conservatory anyway. It sounded outside that board game, never. Even in a board game, I don't think it counts. You're talking about the one where you solve the murder of the butler, right? Was it even the butler that was killed? You know, it's been so long since I last played it, I don't remember. It's Cullinan Mustard in the diner room with a knife! Sorry. Thinking back, ever since I played it, I wondered what conservatory actually was. I guess I now know. Generally, it's just a posh sitting room. I mean, it seems kind of redundant when you get a place this big. Not to mention the backyard being as big as it is. Right, you'd use this room for what exactly? Reading? Could read, yeah. But wouldn't that be impossible when night fell? With all the windows, I mean. Good thing they have lights then, I guess. But wouldn't people be able to see in? Normally, yeah, but who's looking in? The forest around the mansion means that the closest neighbor would need to telescope at best. I guess you're right. I kinda like it though. I probably do my morning stretches in here as opposed to my bedroom. Stretches, you mean? I think yoga? Yoga, huh? Yeah, that's the stretchy one. As opposed to the dancey one? You mean Zumba? Maybe? You think I'd be dancing that early in the morning? You could. Could, but that's kind of mean to the rest of you if I started blasting the music that early, right? Oh, right. Huss stretched, looking me over and shooting a happy smile. You know, you should join me sometime, honestly. What, really? Sure, couldn't hurt. Why, worried that I'd be getting you up at dawn? A little? Alright, then I'll hold off getting up at dawn and if I'm dragging you along. Normally I'm up real early, but I'm willing to make an exception. Maybe Saul would be a better choice. He's up early too. He is, huh? Might join him if he's doing something like a morning jog. Might want to reconsider if he's going to the pool. Why's that? That chlorine in his fur. You know that image that could do. First off, he's a crocodile, so he doesn't have fur. Excuse me, but he has scales. But wouldn't a shower help with that? Obviously, but drying off first only take a shower later seems a bit double handling, don't you think? Oh no, there's a shower at the pool itself, so you could just shower there. Oh well, yeah, that's alright then. I might go see that wet morning routine he's got planned later then. Huss looked off to the side, stretching again. Still, despite being on holiday, gotta keep that practice up, just in case. So if you're ever interested in helping me with lines, just let me know. Sure, but what happens now? I'll probably stick around here and lunge about, check the acoustics of the room, maybe get a cat nap in. Yourself? I don't really know yet. Probably keep wandering for a bit longer. Well, in that case, I guess I'll see you later. I nodded to Haas before heading back down, figuring I'll continue looking around elsewhere. Almost done. I found myself on the top floor again, following the sound of someone humming. The room was large, reminiscent of a study on steroids, or perhaps a trophy room or even a library that had more than just books. Roswell was already wandering around, running his hands over some of the books, looking them over before he noticed me. Oh, Dave, I didn't see you there. Roswell wandered over, happy as he could be. This place is great. They have books on nearly anything you could ask for. Really? Really. Even a few on ghosts and summoning demons. I haven't had a proper look, but it's an interesting collection, that's for sure. You're telling me. What sort of place has books like that? Roswell snickered to himself, shaking his head. No ordinary mansion, that's for sure. You didn't really sell our soul for this, right? Like, that was only to mess with Orlando? I promise, nothing like that. Roswell unwrapped a piece of candy and threw it into his mouth, smiling to himself. I had a look of these books, and these books look sketchy as best. Almost like made as a joke. Definitely he would. It wouldn't surprise me if some of these were made just to mess with people. Still what? If they're just to mess with people, they can't be that dangerous, could they? I can guarantee that there's a very, very low chance of anyone just picking up one of these books and doing any real harm. Unless they decide to bludgeon you with it from behind. Roswell, not funny. No one's barbaric enough to commit murder with one of these books. They aren't nearly heavy enough. I followed as Roswell pointed out some books on the top shelf of one of the bookcases. Only really heavy ones are those encyclopedias up there. It'd be a lot of work to get them down just to hit someone over the head with them. You could do better with, like, a knife or something. Once again, I felt uneasy about how casually Roswell was talking about how one could off someone else with what was in this room. Roswell must have noticed, as he hurriedly dug around his bucket for another piece of saltwater taffy and handed it out to me. Sorry, too much detail? Just maybe a little? Don't worry, these sort of things are just are so low in probability of happening. You have a better chance of winning the lottery. My attention went to a suit of armor in the corner, a large sword resting underneath its hands on the pommel. What about something like that? As I pointed it out, Roswell followed my gaze and nodded slowly. It's possible? I mean, borrowing that sword seems easier than climbing a ladder to get a heavy book, right? The way Roswell seems to thoroughly consider the option was almost worrying. His brow was furrowed and he scratched his chin before flashing me a polite smile. Well, maybe. Have you ever used a sword before? Ones like those can weighty. Not to mention, you'd have a hard time prying it away from the armor. What makes you say that? Well, because it's just a display. Chances are that sword is tied down to something, or in some way attached atop to stop it from falling over. Normally, someone wearing the armor would be pushed down, to keep it from standing upright like that. I guess that makes sense. So, Roswell, anything else deadly in the room I should know about? Roswell laughed at my attempt to lighten the mood, and I found myself smiling too. Deadly? Nah. Although if you're looking for for information, or even just neat things to look at, this is the room. I want to keep exploring this room. There's plenty of things to check out. What about you? I guess I'll keep looking around the mansion. I haven't really thought that far ahead. Well, if you get bored, you'll know where to find me. Giving me a quick salute, Roswell wandered away, disappearing behind a bookcase while I turned around and left the room. The greenhouse. Dean mentioned this morning that he was going to check out the greenhouse. I hadn't been to a proper greenhouse before, so this was the perfect time to check it out. Dean, you in there? Yeah, just a sec. Well, hey, good looking. Come to see me especially? Must be my lucky day. Sorta. You said you were checking the greenhouse out. I figured I'd come to check it out too. Dean gestured to the pots and plants around him, wearing his trademark friendly smile. What do you think? It seems neat, I guess. I inhaled deep through my nose, enjoying how fresh and earthy everything smelled. Only neat? Okay, so it's pretty good. I like how it smells in there. You and your nose. But yeah, I suppose you're right about that. It's very fresh in here, although maybe don't go poking holes in the bags of fertilizer unless you want a different sort of smell assaulting you. I chuckled, shooting him a toothy grin. So, you've been checking things out here since breakfast? Pretty much. There's a lot more here than I assumed there would be. But I guess if someone's living here, it makes sense there'd be something. Pity we're only here for a month, otherwise I'd pitch in and grow something too. There's potting soil, trowels, a cabinet with various seeds, everything you could need to get to work. If we were staying for longer, I'd probably try growing some... Wait, what? That is a... Wait, why is that... Was that like a... Yeah, that was a repeat. That is weird. Oh yeah, what you'd grow? Vegetables? Well... Dean shuffled uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. He snuck a look at me, flashing a warm if fleeting smile before replying. I mean, Yeah, I do like fresh vegetables, but flowers probably. Flowers? When I questioned him, Dean shuffled on the spot. He looked uncomfortable and muttered something under his breath, something I couldn't quite catch. The next thing I knew, he looked at me in the eye, his tone serious. Can I be honest? Sure. He sighed out, looking away again. There's a great deal of things I'd like to grow. Trees, flowers, vegetables. Hell, growing a tree and to cut it down for lumber to make something for the house. Or flowers to bring home to my beloved. The moment he said it, I felt uncomfortable, knowing where his intentions were. I knew what he wanted, and I wanted to reciprocate. I genuinely did. But there were things that made that complicated. If things had gone a little differently, I probably would have been jumping up and down at the prospect of getting flowers. Dean. Well, that'd be the best case scenario, of course. You never know. We might end up getting to have to. We might end up getting to have a proper date one of these days, and you'd be set. Make a clean getaway with all these fresh grown goods from your personal farmer. Dean's laughter seemed genuine, but there was still that tinge of sadness that followed. There are already things growing in there, so I can take care of them instead of growing something from a seed. Much faster, and honestly probably for the best. Just in case there's a setup or something, don't want to go messing with that just in case. Yeah, that probably was a good idea. Don't want to get caught growing weed or something. You know, I probably could if I tried hard enough. And if there was something already started in there, although don't know how much about it. Again, he laughed, and I fought the urge to ask if he was serious or not. So, what are you doing now, Dave? Going to keep looking about? Huh? What makes you ask that? You seem to like wandering about. I'm pretty set here for the time being, so you hanging around here would be nice, but you're gonna get bored. I chuckled nervously. While the place was neat, he was right. I had no idea about most of the stuff in here, and I just didn't have the same passion for it Dean had. You've got me there, so I guess I'll see you later. Suits me. You stay out of trouble now. Dean wandered off behind some other plants, humming to himself as he did so. As for me, I headed to inside the mansion to figure out my next move. Alright. The obligatory vault. Yeah, so you have to check the vault in order to proceed. Somehow, at some point, I found myself looking at a familiar looking door. Something about the room seemed weird, almost as if a haze lingered in the room. As much as it felt off, my body dragged me across to the keypad next to the door. Maybe I should just try putting something, given I'm here. So, I just want to show you that lovers is an actual password.
Cheat it, Link. You know you wanna.
Wait, why did it trigger twice? That's weird. I don't know why it triggered twice. Anyways, I'm just going to showcase it, but I'm not gonna actually do it. But I just want to showcase that it's an actual password that you can put in. Wait, what? Really? Maybe the
2x lovers.
Wait, what? I don't know why is that happening. I don't know why the thing is triggering twice. That's weird. I guess that's something I have to look later on. Maybe the dev removed that password. It's possible. But On previous versions, you could input that in order to get more relationship. I guess maybe the creator removed it from the game, so whatever. Oh well, it's fine. Time seemed to slip away from me. I wasn't sure how long I ended up standing there, but I could hear the dinner bell ringing. I trudged up towards the dining room in a daze. As it turned out, I was the last one to arrive. Hey, Dave! I must have sat down next to Roswell when I entered. It was the closest chair to the door by far. Not only that, but the food was already on the table. How long I was on an autopilot. You look cracked. Are you alright? Yeah, I think so. My head felt cloudy, fuzzy as if it was still waking up. Well, if you're sure... I remember nodding, with my awareness slowly returning. Maybe I'm just tired. I know I was downstairs before, and I guess I just zoned out. Downstairs? In the gym? No, in that other room, the one with the big door. Oh yeah, that's the vault. I know the one you're talking about. The vault? Right, because of how the door looks. Even has a keypad next to it wanting a password, so it's bound to have something important in it, behind it. I tried a bunch of words, but nothing, I tried a bunch of words though. Nothing. Not even that. All it did was just beep at me. Why that? I didn't even know that was possible. Oh, I thought it maybe was like a computer, so Roswell looked away quickly, eyes bulging and looking worried. Wait, is that the password to your computer, Roswell? No, don't be silly. Just please forget about that, please. Roswell turned to the food in front of him and began eating. I did much the same, but I found myself thinking about what I'd seen so far. The pool looked inviting enough. At the very least, Sal seemed to enjoy it, not to mention the fact that it seemed equipped with everything just to hang out shy of a mini bar. The gaming room seemed to be fun, although I worried as to how Orlando perceived it. It wasn't really a casino, right? The gym is something I'm not sure I'll use, at least not to the extent Ty is likely going to use it. Good to know we had a place to work off some of the food we were eating while we stayed there. If I wanted a place to relax, the conservatory seemed like a good place to go. Might have to fight Haas for the space depending on if he was using it for rehearsals though. There was a museum full of stuff that, honestly, I didn't expect from a place like this. Still, probably more things there for me to find if I looked hard enough. The greenhouse was cool. It was almost like a private jungle, but given Dean's interest in the place, there was every likelihood he'd use the seclusion to, well, he'd make the most of it. Especially if if we were the only ones in there. Oh god. Once again I zoned out, the rest of dinner being a blur. I vaguely remember everyone saying goodnight, and I think I replied? Being alone in the dining room put me on edge. I don't know why, but maybe it was just the isolation. As my vision focused, I realized I wasn't the only one in the room after all. Oh. The otter gave me an appraising stare, his gaze drilling into me in a mix of curiosity and concern. Are you well? You seem distressed. My mouth felt dry suddenly, and I quickly looked around. Yeah, I'm fine. Another long stretch of silence passed. Despite being on the opposite side of the table, I felt if he were right next to me, and not in a good way. Just fine. Tired, maybe. I dunno. Then may I suggest you return to your room and retire for the night? The others have all done the same, and the mansion is far too large to be wandering around by oneself in the dead of night. Is it dangerous? There was no response shy of his polite smile, but in a way that smile made me tense up more, making me feel more uneasy. Oh, I wouldn't say dangerous, Master Dave. No danger at all, as so long as everyone is in their bed. My gaze narrowed, confused. How he phrased that seemed off. You make it sound like they're not all in their beds. Again, that polite smile returned. His voice was level and calm. At the very least, you aren't. Benson quickly turned briskly on heel and slowly wandered away. The moment he was out of sight, a chill ran down my spine. I made my way out of there as fast as my legs would take me until I was in my room. The moment I got on the other side of the door, I closed it and started to pace. I was just imagining things. It was all in my head, whatever it was. Whatever it was that I was feeling. This was just an unfamiliar house, and I hadn't settled in yet. Despite reinforcing this in my head, I yelped when I heard a knocking on my door. I froze, staring at the door, unnerved by Benson's behavior downstairs. Gulping, I croaked out, "Come in?" Dean opened the door and closed it shut behind him. Eyes trained on me as he looked irritated. "Hey, Dean, you were out of it at dinner. What's wrong?" Nothing at all." Dean clicked his tongue before shaking his head. "No, I know something is up. I've known you for long enough to learn that much, Dave. Spill it." I shuffled uneasily on the spot, avoiding Dean's gaze. Does it feel off about this place? Does something feels off about this place to you? About Benson? The question seems to take Dean aback. He blinked and seemed to think it over. While he was thinking, I continued. I'm just gonna save because I don't remember this. He's the only staff we've seen. No one else. Dean crossed the room and placed his hands on my shoulders, waiting until I looked at him proper. "Are you okay?" Yeah, I think so. Why? Just rattled? Yeah. Dean netted my shoulders, massaging the tension I had been holding in my neck. Maybe he wanted to do more or say something, but his eyes held fast on the spot on the floor nearby. "Alright, well, if you want to talk, I'm just down the hall." I flashed him a wry smile, seeing if I could lighten the mood. "Just talk?" He stopped suddenly, looking down at me before meeting my smile with one of his own. Then that smile grew into one of Dean's signature grins. "Just talk, huh? Well, I suppose if talking isn't enough, we could do something else with our Okay. Of course." I laughed, and a lot of my worries fell away right then and there. He leaned down and gave me a quick hug before holding me gently at arm's length. "Everything will be fine, Dave, but if it ever bothers you, you know where I'll be. You know how I am, but I don't think for a second that I'm not looking out for you, alright? Promise." With another nod, he was gone. A faint fluttering in my chest made me feel warm and comforted. But with my mind at ease, fatigue hit me hard and I turned in for the night. And I think day 3 is the day where we choose our route. Despite going to bed relatively calm after talking to Dean, I didn't sleep well. I was up early, my body telling me that I had enough rest. Not that I felt rested, my head was still spinning. I let my eyes wander the bedroom I'd claimed as my own, but it lacked the familiar comforts of home. The house was giving me an odd feeling. Was it the Vault? Was it the lack of staff? Was it something else? Even then, what was hidden behind that door? Was it something important like Roswell thought? My thoughts raced through my mind as I could hear other things going on in the house. Or at least I assumed that's what I was hearing. Rolling over, I wondered if it was worth taking Dean up on his offer, and I grabbed my phone. It was early, and wondered if my paranoia was worth bothering one of the others. I'd already started flickering to my contacts. Having made up my mind, all that was left was deciding who to message. And of course, since I'm on Dean's route, on Orlando's route right now, let's continue with Orlando. If I was feeling off about something, chances were Orlando was as well. At least, if it was anything beyond just something I made up in my head. There was something to be said in sharing your worries with someone who might be feeling the same, so Orlando seemed to be the perfect person to call upon here. I sent him a message asking if he was feeling off about this place, and only after a minute of waiting, I heard a knock on my door. Come in? Sorry, I figured this was just easier. Oh, sure. I looked at my phone, then Orlando, before bending it on the side table. I didn't sleep well last night. How about you? Yeah, I didn't sleep all that well either. Although I was just putting it down to just being in a different bed. Well, I guess that could have been it too. I shuffled uneasily. If Orlando was putting it down just to his bed, then how much my worries really were just in my head. You don't think... Huh? You don't think this place is really... right... you don't think this place really is... right... haunted? Well, maybe not haunted, but it's still just... I think so. There's just so many things that seems... odd, right? You've noticed them too, no doubt. One butler in charge of the whole house? That seems unlikely. There's no way one butler can be in charge of the whole house, right? Not only that, who used to live here? Where are they now? And how did a random group of guys manage to score this for a month with no cost? Is it bad for me to want to be hopeful Roswell is really just that loaded? Well, if he is, he hides it well. I mean, you expect that of a dragon, less so of a boar. Huh. Orlando, racist! Hey, you know what I meant. But I guess we never really know who has money and who doesn't, right? I guess it'd be rude to look a gift horse in the mouth, right? Dave, racist. What? What does that even mean? As we laughed, I felt a little better, now distracted from the troubles that had kept me from sleeping. If we promise to have each other's backs, we should be fine in case it is a hunting, right? Deal. Thanks for this, Orlando. I feel better just having talked about this to someone. Oh, sure. No problem there. Anytime. But, maybe wear some pants next time? Oh, sorry. I just came over without thinking about what I was wearing. Guess I was just eager to try and help. I gave Orlando a reassuring smile. being in much the same level of stress as he was. But you're feeling better. Really? I do, yeah. Then I'll go back to my room and find some pens. It's a little early for breakfast, so this will be a good chance for you to catch up on some of that sleep you missed out on. With a slight wave, Orlando left the room, waddling off and closing the door behind him. As for me, I took the chance to put some clothes and then settled in for some rest before it was time to get up proper. Much like the first night, I was the last one to arrive to breakfast. And once again, I had free call on who to sit next to. Whoops. Oh. Okay, I cannot sit next to Orlando this time. Damn it. Tyson, sure. At a glance, it seemed Tyson was well rested and, if a little bored, figured he might like the company. Morning. Morning. Asleep alright? Been better. Yeah. Who? Who? Yeah. Who's underperforming? Oh, wait, no. I just had trouble sleeping. Not like you'd tell me anyway. Had you pegged for someone that likes the bad boy anyway? None of them guys match that. Turn over a new leaf, have you? Except me, pup. But you're out of your you're out of your league on that one. Tyson started to grab food in front of him, stucking his plate and tucking in. With how fast he was eating, I could have sworn I was sitting next to Dean. Whoa, hungry much? Hey, free grub. Good free grub. Well, yeah, but aren't you gonna get sick eating that fast? Nah, I know my limits. You should get some food in you though. Was going to take a look around. Figure you might want to come. Sure. Don't have any other plans for today. Great. Tyson's sudden outburst caused everyone to look his way. Not that it seemed to really bother him at all that much. Maybe he was just lonely. Riding the enthusiasm, Ty got up and left. Figured that he was already on his way to check out the place. I should probably follow. So you have you've had a look around the place, yeah? Could say that. Anywhere you'd recommend to kick us off? Actually, before that, need to head back to the room. Without waiting, Ty started to jog up the stairs. Alright. Not you're here. Not going to mince words, Dave. Ty began to pace before sighing, giving me a hard stare before continuing. I came because you invited me, but I think you made a mistake given who else is here. I'm thankful, don't get me wrong, but I think that as a whole, you should have picked someone else. Well, I get what you're saying. Not that you can head home now, right? Could call a cab or something. Well, yeah, but that'd be stupid expensive. Besides, why not make the most of it? Could just spend a month training or wandering the woods? Yeah, right. Like that'd go down well. Something tells me spending the whole month in a dark basement is a little sus. So, what's the alternative? Well, I ain't apologizing. Well, ideal scenario then? Well, I don't get on well with them. We're different people, and that's okay. Besides, you can keep me company, so it's not so bad. I'm fine with that. Well, if you're sure. Still, what are you planning on doing today? Gym all day? Nah, still want to have a look around. Which, room should we start with? Well, you've got the basement covered. Anything good upstairs? There's like, I guess you'd call it a reading room. Books, pass. That's kind of like a there's kind of study musing combo upstairs. A bunch of old stuff to look at. You make it look like you make it sound like a field trip. You could check out the games room upstairs. Almost looks like a casino. I could get behind that. If anything, I might get some. If anything, I might make some quick cash. You like to gamble? Well, sorta. I guess I'm lucky. I guess. Better at placing bets on hands of poker or blackjack. Try to sticking away from slots. I'll probably go check out the gym after either way. Want to work off breakfast at some point? Alright, sure. The two of us left the bedroom, Tyson leading the way and sticking his hand into any open door he could find until we found the games room. Well. Ty went over one of the slot machines resting against the wall and gave the lever a whack. More like a casino than I thought it'd be. Why did it have a setup like this anyway? Like, what's the point of the slot machine if you own it? Any money you put in, you'll just get it back. What if you had friends over? Still, then you'd just be stealing money off your friends. What if it pays out too? You just gonna give money away like that for free? Well, I guess if you're rich enough to have a place like this, maybe money isn't that big of a deal. Must be nice. Still, what else isn't there? Looks like they have a projector set up. Yeah, apparently there's a bunch of video games rigged up to play off it or something. Oh yeah? According to Orlando at least, I didn't go into any details of how any of it worked. Still suppose that's something, right? Ty went over to the cabinets, riffling through the things sitting on the shelves. Don't see any games in there. A couple books, spare controllers and stuff. Controllers mean games though, right? At the very least a console. You'd think that. Tyson spent a bit more time rummaging before coming over with a folder. I think this might help. Let's see. Catalog of games room. Access to the main TV and attached device is done by the control panel inside the cabinet shown. Looks like there's, I don't know, a hidden panel or something in the cabinet over there. I'll go have a look. I wandered over the cabinet Tyson pointed out and looked inside. Looking inside, there was a panel with a bunch of buttons and switches. I flipped the switch and immediately a section of the wall slid aside to reveal a large screen. Oh hey, this sort of looks like a TV. Not quite. That's just something for the image to project onto. They've just dressed it up a bit. Tyson pointed up to the ceiling where a small box seemed to be pointing at the wall that just opened up. That should be the projector. Must have come down when the wall opened. Don't remember seeing it up there a minute ago. That's a couple of other switches. Should I press them? Don't see why not. Besides, if we break anything, they should have made it less fragile, right? Well, I don't really want to have to explain why something's broken when we've only been here for a couple of days. Well, move over then. I'll do it. Without waiting for me to move, Ty shoved past and started flicking switches. First the screen came on, then a few of the shelves, and following that the screen had a list of games pre-installed and ready to play. Not bad. Oh yeah? Check how many games they've got. This is probably a custom rig or some kind. Don't think mine at home can hold this many. You have one of these? Well, one of them. Seems like they have one of everything and have them all running at the same time. Well shit, I wonder how they're doing that. Gonna try doing it at home? If I get another console, sure. Sure they don't mind me if I help myself. What, you're going to take one of those at home? Yup. Not going to miss one. but they're not gonna miss one lousy console. But that's stealing! They don't fucking tell anyone. But look, if you don't want a guilty conscience, don't watch me steal it. Hell, I won't even steal it right now. Jeez, you're such a buzzkill. Well, you've ruined the mood now. Let's go somewhere else. Oh, okay. Tyson wants to commit crimes. Okay, I'm still not on a path. Well, it shouldn't be. Tyson stumbled out of the room without another word. Still, despite me being the reason he was being sour, he ushered me to follow. We passed Roswell in the foyer, who seemed to be just standing around, almost waiting. Be gay, do crimes, yeah. Ty just stomped on past towards the dining room, paying Roswell no mind. That was close. You didn't look happy at all. Yeah, that was my fault. We were upstairs in the games room and it doesn't matter. Still, games is pretty cool. Should check it out if you got the chance. Oh, then I should maybe. Maybe after lunch? Oh yeah, we're getting pretty close to then, right? Aren't we? Yep, and I was going to go ahead and before, well, don't worry, I get it. Well, that's a relief. Don't know what I'll do though. Standing out there until the other arrives kind of seems weird, don't you think? Well, if it were me, I'd just go into the dining room anyway. Oh yeah? Well, I mean, Ty is just Ty. I get that he kind of looks like he'll pick a fight with whoever, but he's an alright guy. Especially now? Trust me. Well, if you say so. You're coming too, I guess? In a bit. Gonna go get something from my room first. Alright, well, I'll see you when you get back then. I wandered upstairs, heading to my room. Seemed as though everyone else was out though. No one seemed to be in their room otherwise. When I got to my room, I noticed things seemed different. Nothing major, just had someone been in there? I changed my shirt and went back downstairs. Seems as though nothing was missing. By the time I was back downstairs, though, everyone seemed to be hurrying to the dining room. When we all arrived, though... Oh no. Really, anyone could have heard the yelling as they approached, but entering made it all worse. Seemed as though everyone heard it, as everyone else filed in close behind. Who are you calling a dog, pig? That's... Roswell and Tyson were on the opposite sides of the table. Tyson snarling and hunched over one of the chairs, looking like he'd jump over it. What's going on? That porker called me a dog. I didn't, I swear! Roswell made a break for it, hiding behind Saul. Tyson was right behind him, stopping shy of Saul and snarling up at the massive crocodile in his way. Wow. You wanted more fighting, huh? What happened? Saul looked back at Roswell, opting to address him rather than the wolf in front of him, making Ty look back off in a huff. No one's hurt, right? You didn't, you know. Ty looked like he was about to explode, eyes bulging and the corners of his mouth turned downwards. By comparison, Roswell was meekly clinging to the back of Saul's shirt, using him as a physical barrier. I needed answers, and I didn't like the idea of the two of them fighting. Maybe it was just a simple misunderstanding. I looked between Roswell and Tyson, clearing my throat. Oh. Oh. Well, Tyson first, I guess? Tyson, what happened? Asking Ty must have called him a little. as rather than seem full-blown rabid, as he was now only mildly frustrated. Well, he shot Roswell a dirty look before looking back at me, hands still balled up into fists. Called me a dog to my face. Lupus, Lupus. I'm a wolf, damn it. I don't go play fetch. No sooner than Tyson had spoken up, Roswell stepped out from behind Saul, stumping his feet. I told you, it's Canis, Lupus. You're still a canine. See, he's doing it again. Ty pointed at Roswell, shooting me a desperate look. I wonder if this is what it was like to have children. It wasn't. I wasn't like this as a kid, was I? This is what you're fighting about? Really? Yeah, guys. There are plenty other reasons you could be fighting, and you chose that. Really? Tyson's just making trouble again, it seems. Ty did a double take, looking between Sal, Huss, and then finally to me. I wasn't sure what he was wanting me to do, and maybe I would realize a little too late that he wanted some back out before he bailed, disappearing down the hall. I seemed to be the only one watching where Tyson went. Everyone else checking in on Roswell was the smallest of the group and the youngest. So maybe there was some obligation to make sure he was okay first. Or maybe it was just that they disliked Tyson that much that they didn't care how he was feeling. There was every chance Ty would be fine giving his space, but honestly, I feel like Tyson. I feel like we should chase Tyson maybe, because he's the black sheep of the group. He should maybe be reassured, and like Tyson is the only one. Like Tyson only trusts Dave, really. I stole another look at the rest of the group before shaking my head. Even if everyone else thought he was overreacting, he was still upset, and he was my friend. The others could take care of Roswell, so he was in good hands. Tyson, however, the only reason I knew where he went was because I spotted his tail disappearing down the stairs towards the basement. Ty? It was dark, but I noticed him with his hands tight across his chest, leaning back on one of the walls. He wasn't looking at me, but with how his ear twitched, I could tell he knew I was there. You alright? Do I sound alright to you? He spat the words out, making me flinch. I took a step back, and he seemed to realize what he did a moment later. Look, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It means a lot that you followed me, though. But Ty, was that really the way to react to, Really? Really? How did that even come up anyway? We were talking about you, actually. About me? Yeah, doesn't matter about what. You just made a comment about my tail when you were mentioned. Your tail? Yes, my tail. I can't stop wagging it sometimes. Anyway, it took a dig at me and called me a happy puppy, and then started claiming that Canis or whatever thing. I don't want to take sides, but and then you make an excuse for your actual friends figures. No, I just want you to get along with everyone. I know it's hard, but Tyson sighed, rolling his eyes before looking me over. He did nothing at first, but when he did, his tone was level and calm. Okay, fine. I'll do it for you. But I'm not going to stand for any of that dog nonsense, you hear me? I'll tell Roswell to be more careful in how he jokes around. Promise. So, come for lunch, please? Nah, not hungry anymore. Gonna work out for a bit, then maybe have a nap. He ruffled the fur atop my head, shooting me a smile. I'll be fine, pup. I'll see you at dinner. I watched as he headed into the gym and out of sight. Part of me wondered if I should keep him company or come back upstairs. But he said he was fine, and he was usually right. It wasn't the first time he'd gotten upset and we'd had this talk, and probably wasn't going to be the last. Comfortable that Ty would be okay eventually, I headed back upstairs for lunch. With the argument behind us for the time being, we got settled at one end of the table while Orlando ducked into the kitchen to prepare lunch. Orlando brought out a big tray that seemed to be any sort of sandwich you could imagine. They were only small pieces, almost like finger food. You made all these, Orlando? Looks good. Feel bad that you went through all the trouble given we have a butler. I really don't mind. Friends just make each other sandwiches, right? I thought that was the wife's job. Almost immediately Sal whacked Deans across the back of his head, shooting him a fierce look before going to pick the lettuce out of his sandwich. How's everyone been going so far anyway? We went around the table sharing what we'd found, but most of it was pretty tame. Just minor discoveries each of us had made about this place. Well, I didn't end up speaking to Benson about that activity. I did end up speaking to Benson about that activity. I think you'll like it, and with how all over the place we've been, just as well too. Bleh. All right. What have you got in mind? Ready? A scavenger hunt. A scavenger hunt? Yeah, it's a great idea. But why a scavenger hunt? More importantly, what are we finding? Well, that's where Benson came in and helped. Turns out there's a set of meadows that once belonged to the people that lived there. Apparently they got hidden around the place by one of the kids as a prank. Wait, so we're just looking around for stuff that no one else could find? Well, yeah, but Benson told me to pass on that there's a reward. Oh, alright. I could find a meadow or two. Forget about that. I want to know about the rewards first. Wouldn't that be better as a surprise? Can't expect to go wandering around only to get an expired coupon as a prize. Or like, just a second DVD of a B-grade anime. Of course you'd be thinking that. The reward is access to the vault downstairs. Wait, what the fuck? No fucking way. No fucking way. Because I know some information about the vault, and I doubt that the reward is the vault. More detail on that later, but the vault may or may not contain a dark secret. So I really doubt that the reward is the vault. There was silence and a few confused expressions thrown about the table. Anything of worth we find inside is ours to keep in exchange for the medals. Apparently they have intense sentimental value to Benson. Sentimental value, sure. But to give us whatever's inside the vault? Is it good? We looked at one another again before considering what could be inside the vault. Money? Treasure? My mind wandered to what I hoped was beyond that door. Money would be nice, but there was always that saying about it not buying happiness. Treasure would be neat, but wouldn't be that just a different kind of money? Hold on a minute. What's wrong, Orlando? What if you just wants to find these medals for some sort of ghost rituals, for some sort of ghost ritual thing? Should we help him? Really? I didn't think their medals were for that. Oh yeah. Then what did the what what were they? My God, what is the sen? Then what were they medals of? My God, they're the Zodiac actually. So I see. That's totally in the realm of ritual possibility. Think about all the games you play where you have to collect the thing when it, and then turns out that the player was a fool for assembling everything for the villain. He's a gamer. He's a gamer. He's a gamer. Sal reached over to Orlando's face and held his mouth shut. He seemed to be gentle, but he sighed and looked back to Roswell. What do they look like? Well, about that, Benson just said they had colored ribbon and had some sort of, they were made out of metal. They'd have the signs of the Zodiac engraved on them too. That's something to go off of, but what color ribbon? What type of metal? Roswell shrugged, shaking his head. That's all the info Benson was willing to give me. This has creepy ritual written all over it. Maybe, but what if it isn't? I've been to your house. You have some strange collections. Maybe. Let's not get into what sort of things I hoard, Saul. Okay, let's find those medals. Well, that was a quick turnaround. I'll take it though. Did you say horoscopes? If we're talking about star signs, that makes 12 in total, right? Cancer, Aquarius, Leo, obviously, Aries, Pisces, Taurus, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, and Gemini. You just know them all off the top of your head? Well, it helped that I checked mine on the bus. Normally do, and I picked up the magazine for the drive here. I suppose that makes sense, but still, is that a normal thing to do? I know Saul likes checking his. I check mine from time to time, but I don't put a lot of stock in it. They're a bit too vague. I looked across to Saul, who seemed to be nodding slightly in Dean's direction. Very true. Can't say they have a lot to stock in them, but they're fun to at least look at. How about this? Let's tackle the scavenger hunt in pairs and decide tomorrow what those teams will be, right? Why not now? Well, I was hoping we'd all be present. After all, we might need all the help we can get in our search, even if that means keeping Tyson in the loop. Even after earlier? Sure, that's a wise idea. We get nothing if we only find 11 of the whole set. As much as I don't like Tyson, we're kinda stuck. Yeesh. When you put it that way, I guess it makes sense. Are we picking teams out of the hat or... Bigger problem, if we do this in pairs, we're going to have uneven teams. Wait, really? I counted those at the table plus Tyson, realizing what he meant. Oh, that's... yeah. What about a group of 3? Good work. A group of 3 might be more of bother than actual help, though. At least, that way no one gets left out. Assuming everyone wanted to take part. But even then, team that finds the most medal wins, right? I thought the whole point was to find all of them, and that we get nothing without a complete set. Ah, right. You've got me there. Then a party for the winners for contributing the most to us getting the full set. Failing that, we can just get ice cream as a consolation prize. I'm fine with that. Not gonna turn down free food either. I'm with you on this one. We finished up lunch and split up to do our own thing. As for me, I figured I'd get a nap in. I collapsed on my bed, trying to get comfortable, but my mind wandered. I was curious about the door downstairs. what was behind it and if it was worth finding a bunch of medals for. Sitting up, I pulled out my journal and wrote down what had happened so far. Despite only having been there for a couple of days, I had a lot on my mind. But despite me writing down everything that was immediately on my mind, the temptation to go downstairs was still there. Okay. By the way, the moment where we pick the route is coming soon because the route the picking route is when we choose who's our partner for the scavenger hunt. I'm still going to visit the vote and see if the lovers password works, and if it still doesn't, then I would assume that the dev just removed that password altogether. I'll just see if it still works or he just removed it. Taking another look at my journal, I put it back in my bag before leaving my room. I wandered downstairs looking to see if anyone was around, but it seemed like everyone was still out doing their own thing. I could hear someone down here, likely Tyson in the gym, but I was content on heading to the door that had gotten me so curious. Okay, I'm going to save because like I don't want to actually cheat, but let's see if it actually works or the dev just removed it. Password invalid. Huh. Wait, usually like I in my notes it's like all caps. I don't know if it's like caps related. That's why it never worked. No, okay, no. It just doesn't work altogether. So I guess the developer just straight up removed that password from the game, I guess. Oh well. Once I had settled into my room, I must have fallen asleep at some point. The bed was comfier than I gave it credit for. The only reason I woke up was because I heard a knocking on my door. I looked at my phone and checked to check the time. It was too early for dinner, but maybe something had happened? Come in? Roswell opened the door and wandered inside, head rummaging around in a bag of jelly beans before shoving a handful in his mouth. Hi Dave, what are you up to? Was asleep, that I meant to. What about you, snack time? Oh, nothing, just checking in. Want some jelly beans? I shook my head, rolling over so I was sitting on the side of the bed with Roswell coming closer to join me. He put the jelly beans away, bumping me gently over on the arm. So, any ideas on who you want to partner up for this scavenger hunt? I'm honestly happy with whoever as a partner. I just think this'll give us a good chance to learn more about each other. I think I'm kinda in the same boat. We're all friends, but I guess it's different when you're trying to live when you're living with someone, right? Well, I guess this is close analog for that, sure. Plus, who knows? Maybe doing so will let some romance blossom. I chuckled, shaking my head at him. I thought it was bad enough that Orlando was playing wingman, but who knows what Roswell and Orlando had been discussing at this point. That was why you wanted us to pair up? Not really, but it could happen. A lot can happen in a month after all. Well, that's true. What about you? Huh? Who are you hoping to partner with? I mean, it becomes less of a game if you don't rightly get along with who you're paired up with. Beyond that, I don't mind. I frowned, immediately feeling as though he was taking a jab at Tyson, but there wasn't anyone that could partner up with Tyson if everyone felt the same as Roswell, except for me, that is. I get the feeling that say Dean and Huss may not get along as much as they seem fairly laid back, or even like Saul and Huss, given one likes water and the other, well. Not it sounds like you're being racist, but maybe you're right. Oh, I really didn't mean it for it to come across that way. Really? I just know Huss doesn't like the pool because of the chlorine. I guess that makes sense. I'm sure it'll work out, right? We're all reasonable people deep down, I'm sure. My mind wandered over my interaction with Benson for some reason. Maybe Roswell would know more about him to make him seem less creepy. Oh yeah, I was meaning to ask you about Benson. Did he seem odd to you? Odd how? I mean, like, he's kind of creepy when you're in the same room as him, or maybe it was just tiredness getting to me. Probably the tiredness. I haven't noticed anything odd. If I do, I'll let you know. I'll let you know, though. I nodded slowly, trying to convince myself that it was all in my head. Normally, when I do, though, I kind of wish I could save the game when I. Oh yeah, that. Yeah. I wish I could save the game when I wake up just in case something happens. Like a video game. I'm totally not breaking the fourth wall right there. Haha. I'm totally not suggesting you to just save the game right now. It's a little childish, I know. I put it down to hanging around with Orlando a little too much. But hey, the reassurance would be nice if I could get to do over the day over if I screwed up. Totally nothing bad's gonna happen today. Totally not. Well, sadly we don't. We both laugh it off, making me shaking my head at how Roswell continued to giggle at his joke long after I stopped. Oh no, it's not a joke. I'm serious. Well, I should continue on checking on the others until dinner. Probably should tell Tyson about the scavenger hunt too, or ask Saul if he could do it. Nah, don't worry. I'll fill him at dinner. It'll be easier that way. All right, I'll leave it to you then. See you at dinner. With a spring in his step, Roswell left, closing the door behind him. Saving the game, huh? Ha 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 ha! You should definitely do that. The rest of the afternoon was uneventful, and I spent most of it contemplating about what Roswell has said. How often does he have? How often does he have bad enough feelings to want to do a do-over? When the dinner bell rang, we all made our way to the dining room. Scavenger hunt, huh? Given what happened at lunch, Tyson was sitting by himself at one end of the table while everyone huddled around to the other end. It was almost like seating arrangements at this high school cafeteria. Tell you what, I'll think on it. Not normally my thing, but I can sleep on it, yeah? Yeah, teams are being decided tomorrow. Alright, we'll see how it goes in the morning. Thanks for filling me in. I watched as Tyson scoffed the rest of his meal before leaving without another word. Seemed as though things were still staying from earlier, or at least that was my guess. The rest of the meal was uneventful, and the rest of us just idly chatting before heading off to bed. Whatever the reason, all of us found ourselves groggy and wanting sleep. Man, I'm beat. I checked my phone, and it was still relatively early. I considered messaging one of the guys, or just even wandering on over their room to see if they wanted to do anything. But given how tired everyone seemed, I decided against it for now. I showered and jumped onto my bed, sleep finding me fairly quick. As I lay in my bed, though, I wondered about what tomorrow would bring. Did we have a chance of finding those medals? Will we get bored of it eventually? Not that there was any shortage of things to do around here if we stopped looking. Day 4. Okay, so my voice is getting tired, so I'm going to leave it here for today. My voice is feeling very sore right now, so we haven't picked a route yet, but that will be for next time. So, with this intro, I hope you enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Take care.